Check.
On air.
Mistrzostwa Polski STIHL TIMBERSPORTS 2023 Anno Domini 29 lipca 2023. Czekajcie na ten moment.
Poznan. So be prepared for an afternoon full of action. Standing next to me, as always, the one and only, the Canadian voice of STIHL TIMBERSPORTS, the man, the myth, the legend, Troy Mannering. Nice to have you here, buddy.
Thank you very much, Floaty. The action, oh, terrible, terrible right off the bat. It's going to be a horrible day with the puns like that throwing out. But as far as action is concerned, it's going to be fantastic. We have the Polish Pro Men's National Championship today. And I'm telling you, Poland has been mobbing this sport for the last few years. We've got some of the most fascinating and exciting athletes that are going to be coming out on this stage today, and you do not want to miss the action that's going to be happening here. It's going to be hot and heavy. Speaking of the weather, it's hot and heavy here as well.
Oh, we just had some massive rain, but now the sun has come out, and maybe we're going to see like a generation duel today with Michal Dubicki and this generation taking on Szymon Groenwald, who just crowned himself a few weeks ago to the new rookie world champion. He's hot, he's really going for it, and I think for me this will be the first time to see him work the hot saw, maybe. Correct. If he reaches the last 6, and that's something I'm very much looking forward to. Well,
he came right out of that world championship as a rookie and said, okay, that's it, I'm going straight, because he's 18 years old and he officially can operate the hot saw, so now he's licensed to operate the hot saw. He went straight back home and started training on that hot saw. This is a scary young man. He has skill, power, and he's highly motivated, so it's going to be fun to watch him today.
So let's take a look what's happening up on stage. I think we're going to see our judges and, of course, our global sports director walk on stage in just a moment. We've got a perfect view from here. Yes. Our studio is right next to the stage, and I mean, the setup is absolutely perfect to see what's going to be happening here at the Polish National Championships 2023. Can't wait to go for it. Let's do this. So there's the beautiful stage. Oh, there he is, the man himself.
A former athlete who transitioned to so many different roles, but now he is your global sports director, Spike Milton, up on stage there.
Absolute legends. Our judges, of course, also very, very important to make sure that everything works the way it does. And STIHL Timbersports is really one of the sports where you can say technology has proven to be really something special. Andrew Hall and Bart Janssen up on stage now, giving us a wave.
Those two guys are very important on stage. They're going to be making sure that everything is fair and square as far as the sport goes up there. So you'll see Andrew Hall more or less on the left-hand side of the stage and Bart Janssen on the right, but it will come down to the head judge call when it comes to decision zone if there's any issue or problems on stage.
Things are getting loud again. Of course, we still have a video judge to be shown, Nude van Leer, and hopefully I pronounced the name properly, but like you already mentioned, he is one of the guys that's also very important to make sure that all the decisions are absolutely correct.
Hopefully we'll have a quick look into the studio later on where he's sitting, but right now we're going to meet our athletes, and we just saw Karol Gorski come out on stage. There's that young man we were talking about earlier, Szymon Groenwald. He is a machine.
Absolutely a man to watch for the future. Robert Adamovich, that's the man that has just arrived on stage this very moment. And look at the size of Szymon. I mean, he's 18 years old.
18 years old. He's 1.97 m, I think. Or no, excuse me. 1.97 m would be a bit big. No, he's a big boy, though. Speaking of big boys, there's Krzysztof Majewski coming up on stage. We saw him trolling back and forth in front of the audience earlier on, talking to the people. The one thing I've noticed about the majority of these Polish athletes, they're big men, strong men, but they're so friendly and outgoing and fun.
This has been absolutely wonderful to be here in Poznan so far. That, of course, that insert was for Marcin Juskowski, who just entered the stage. 14 athletes competing today.
Yep. Tomasz Kowal now coming out. We got a few guys here that have some experience. For instance, Marcin Juskowski and Tomasz Kowal.
And just like you mentioned, the smile in his face, that's just beautiful to see. That's a name you love to pronounce, I know. You want to do it?
Artur Krupinski. I think I managed to get it right.
A true Polish citizen. Well done.
I could have been born here.
Dubicki family. I mean, these guys, unreal. Born and bred for timber sports, if you ask me.
Absolutely, and they work hard together as a group, as do the Groenwalds. There's a bunch of them. We'll meet Jacek shortly, but before that, there's Krzysztof Kaczmarek. He is got some pedigree, he's got some years under his belt. We're going to see him pushing everybody as far as they can go, but we do have a few favorites here today.
Pięknie reaguje nasza publiczność. Zobaczymy, jak przywita jego.
Yeah, talking about the second family, Jacek.
Marcin Dubicki, Dubicki. I'll get it right one of these days, even with the pronunciations we've been given.
Sounded good to me.
It's my tongue just slips to the back of my throat and I choke on the name sometimes. Like, my apologies.
Oh, he enjoys himself up there on stage.
Yeah, Papa Groenwald, he loves it. And he has 2 boys that are competing there.
Not bad
and
at all,
he's got to be proud as punch to be out there with these guys. Absolutely.
Maybe that's what motivated him to buy those red shoes, you know?
Maybe.
Bit
Red
of
shoe
flashy.
diaries. Here's a big man right there.
Oh, yes.
As far as stature is concerned, not so much, but his arms are
my word.
massive. He's got so much power. Marcin Darga, and also a really nice fella. Saw him at the lunch and in the hotel the other day.
Came over, grabbed my hand. I can still feel my hand.
I can still feel my hand crushed in the power of his. And
to me, the man to beat, the man to watch. He just loves this format. He's one of the best in the world in this format.
Absolutely.
And he's on fire. He was really good at
the last
trophy.
2 years, he has been super solid, Michal Dubicki. So again, one of those guys that you really have to watch out for. But the granddaddy caddy here, as far as Polish timber sports is concerned, is Arkadiusz Drozdek. There's no two ways about it. Last year's winner, the champion, and he wants it back. He has dealt with some injuries over the last year and a half, 2 years, but I saw him recently. He looks good, he looks fit. He focused on his fitness very much so to make sure that he could come back strong. So nice to have him back there at the top of the blocks. Ah, yes,
very
and of
nice
course,
gesture, very nice.
Very nice gesture. We're going to be seeing that a lot this year. Jason Wynyard from New Zealand. We are with you, buddy. Keep on fighting, never give up. And that is the motto for Jason Wynyard when he was competing and now unable to compete. But he's got a battle going on, and he's got all of our support there. So keep on fighting, Jason. We're with you. You've got our thoughts and our prayers.
Absolute legend. And you can see in the faces of all the athletes, very much with Jason in their thoughts at this very moment.
Oh, hi, we're back.
Yes.
Surprise!
And ready for competition, of course.
As always.
There are some favorites, you mentioned it, but still, especially at these national championships, it's so hard to focus on just one person because there's so many great personalities.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane. These guys are all such great athletes, but there are 4 or 5 guys. Obviously, we just saw Arkadiusz Drozdek come out onto the stage. He's one of those guys that we always know is a consistent performer. He's very solid.
You blink,
he's very good.
he's there. Yeah.
You blink, he's there. Michal, of course, Dubicki, he's been on fire the last couple of years. Marcin Darga, he's always just there on the edge, but the fire in the pit might be interesting with Szymon Groenwald this year because he's been making a lot of the pros nervous as a rookie the last couple of years. So we'll see. We have a long competition today, but it's going to be very fun to watch this one. Let's take a quick look at the competition format and how it works for the individuals here.
The STIHL Timbersports individual competition. In the first round, all athletes compete in 3 disciplines: the underhand chop, the stock saw, and the standing block chop. The times achieved will be converted into points upon completion of each discipline. In round 1, a difference of 1 point applies in each discipline, thus the fastest athlete received 12 points and the slowest only 1 point. Any rule infraction will result in a disqualification and the athlete will receive 0 points for that discipline. At the end of the first round, the athletes with the lowest scores are eliminated. Only 8 athletes make it to the second round. In this second round, the remaining athletes compete in the single buck and the springboard for increased scores. With 2 points difference between placings, the fastest athlete now receives 16 points and the slowest receives 2. The 2 athletes with the lowest total points are eliminated at the end of round 2. Only the top 6 reach the third round. In the third round, anything is still possible in the hot saw, as an increased score interval of 3 points applies in this final round. The fastest athlete can score up to 18 points at the hot saw, the slowest only 3 points. The athlete who manages to achieve the highest total score across all 3 rounds is the new champion.
Well, this is how the format works. Of course, the first discipline is going to be very, very vital, the underhand chop. But let's see what the tool and the discipline is all about. It's coming up right now.
The axes used in timber sports definitely can't be bought at your local hardware store. Made from special steel, the blade is hand sanded with an angle of 13 to 16 degrees. It's custom built and carefully adjusted for each competition. The weight is around 3 kilos and it's about 80 centimeters long. The blade is so sharp that you could shave with it. Underhand chop. In the past, the underhand chop technique was used to split logs. Standing on a horizontally anchored block, the athletes cut through a 32-centimeter log. The block has to be worked from both sides.
All right, so there's our start list for the underhand chop, and we're going to see these pairings go. They're going to have 7 heats today because we have 14 athletes as opposed to 12, which we normally have on stage. So you're going to get a little bit of extra action. And you can see at the bottom of your yeah, of course, at the bottom of your screen, season's best is a 16.71. The world record is a 12.01, an incredible time for the underhand chop. And we're going to get our athletes out on stage here for our first few hits.
Can't wait. It's going to be Karol Gorski and Szymon Groenwald joining us in the first heat. And Troy, that already is a cracker to start it off.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Szymon just jumping out of the rookie level and up to the pros. He didn't really have a choice here because he was 18. He's competed in 2 world championships for rookies and is the reigning rookie world champion. So had no choice. He had to step out of the rookie rankings and go up to the pros. And to be honest with you, I think he's been chomping at the bit to get to the pro level because he is such an amazing athlete. So I got to be saying maybe this is going to be a tight one. He needs to get past the nervousness, but he seemed pretty confident when I saw him earlier today. Karol Gorski, you know, strong competitor. Of course, all of these guys on stage are very strong. I'm jumping into my German here. And we will see what these two guys go, how they go, and here they come onto stage now.
And like you mentioned, I think Szymon, you know, he was born for this. He doesn't seem to get nervous. He got bronze at the national trophy in 2022. He was 5th with the team world championships in 22. So he has already competed with the adults, with the pros, you know, and I think he feels as one of them. He's only been waiting for that moment, just like you mentioned, to be able to go with that hot saw, because that was the only part that was missing for him.
That was it.
To be part of the pros, and this is his first chance to prove this.
And he's got world records in 4 of the disciplines for the rookies, so it's incredible. And he did these all this year. So, you know, I talked to a few of the pros at our Champions Trophy or the World Trophy in Rotterdam, and they were like, oh man, we're not looking forward to seeing this kid on the other side of the stage from us. So, yeah, it's going to be fun to watch him compete. He probably will, like I said, need to get past a couple of the nerves of being up there on the big stage with the pros, but he seems like he's blowing out a little bit of the nervous energy now.
Okay,
he's
gentlemen.
obviously been putting in the time.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, look at the timing.
Right away, getting that axe in. You can see he's using those quick drivers. Gorski doing the same thing. And Szymon already over to the other side of his block, facing our audience here in Poznan.
But that might have been just a little too early, if you ask me.
Well, you know, it's got a different...
Oh, no, it wasn't.
A personal best for Szymon Groenwald. Unbelievable.
Okay.
19.26. The kid is already showing his stuff out there.
Are you kidding me?
Great job by Groenwald. I mean, you made the call that he might have gone over too early, but he knows these logs. He knows his axes. You know, he made that decision, and sometimes the decision works against you, and sometimes it works for you. Gorski's through in a 42.86 there, and he's got himself a personal best. I imagine that he would do a little bit better than that, though, but Szymon Groenwald, excuse me, with a 19.26 sets the bar really high for the underhand chop.
But how about that for a start into this competition? 2 personal bests. I mean, what more do you want? The
Love to
weather
see that.
has
Okay,
turned out to be
congratulations.
sunny
Both
this
cups are
afternoon
good.
after we've had some massive rain. So, wow, kicking it off in Poznan the way we were hoping for.
This is a great start by Szymon Groenwald, by the way, because that is the opening event. He's the first guy on stage. He's got a tough job to get this action started. So, you know,
You're right. Talk about
if you're
pressure,
starting
yeah.
a few heats down, you can watch this a little bit. You can see what's going on, but he had to get going right out of the gate as one of the first athletes on stage. So it's a lot of pressure on the young man, and he has managed it exceptionally well. Look at this final driver right there. Beautiful time of
Immediately looks at the time, you know,
19.04.
he knew that very moment that was good. I'm not sure if he knew it was that good.
These guys are pretty adept at knowing if their time is good or not. They have a good feeling for the wood. They have a good feeling for whether they're cutting well or not. So yeah, I mean, a good job by him.
So our next heat coming up. Robert Adamovic and Krzysztof Majewski. So personal best pretty close together, Troy.
Yeah. Tail of the tape has these two guys doing pretty well against each other. Majewski perhaps slightly better in this discipline just because of the sheer power that he has. But Robert Adamovic there, you could see he's a big man himself. The question is whether or not he can keep his drivers clean and accurate, and if the stamina stays with him. You can see there right away Krzysztof Majewski. He is a powerful man.
Oh. This actually looks a bit terrifying, to be honest.
Okay, gentlemen.
I don't want to be that piece of wood.
Ready.
No way I'd want to meet him in an alley when he's angry with me either. Eh?
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, perfect timing for Majewski.
Yeah, really big swing from the rafters for him. Adamovic doing a nice job to keep those cuts very accurate. You can see clean walls on each side of his cut, and that's key for him. But Majewski off to the other side of his block ahead of Adamovic, so he's got the lead right now, and he's keeping the pace pretty well. Majewski gets a couple of sticky ones, so does Adamovic. Adamovic has got himself a wide cut on the second side here, and he is going 1 for 1 on each side, but his cuts are not so accurate on the second side as he's doing his best to get through, and he's done it in 33.60 seconds. So he's beat the big man just by a hair, and Majewski gets through in 36.42. So a close battle between these two guys again, but not the times either of them were really looking for here.
But still, it's all about collecting the points and taking a look at the results so far. That puts him in position 2 and 3. I mean, okay, just 2 heats, but I don't think that was too bad, to be honest. I think Szymon Groenwald has just put up a time that's unbelievable.
Okay, congratulations.
Well, like I was saying earlier,
Both cuts
the
are good.
disadvantage for Szymon is having to start the whole thing, but now that he's got the time in the books, the advantage for him is he can watch all the other guys and he knows where he stands at the end of all 7 heats. So there'll be a quick change of blocks on stage as we take a look at the replays here, as both of these guys are in sync with each other. And then they start to get loose a bit here. Now you can see Majewski had some really clean hits and cuts on that first side. When he got over to the second side, he got a little bit wild with his positioning though, and was going straight in, but it seemed to work well for him as that final driver got him through in a 36.09, and they actually, Adamovic, and then it was a 36.09 for Majewski. Adamovic with a 33.31 after adjustment. Now, we must say that after each of these cuts, you'll see a time on the screen. Those times are completely unofficial or unofficial until our head judge and our timing in the control center give us the green light that it's okay.
And we're down to 1,000th of a second. This is so precise. This is latest technology, so it's really, really fair for everybody. And this, of course, has evolved over the last years. STIHL Timbersports has become so professional and so, I don't know, into the future.
Yeah.
But the history, that's also very interesting.
Oh, yes, very much so.
We'd love to show you a bit of the STIHL Timbersports history. It is the original extreme sport, and I think we've got some nice pictures coming up for you to understand why we love this sport so much.
Third woodsman who can cut down a tree more easily than most people can chop one up. When it really comes to tackling large lumps, you can't beat the men of the forestry companies.
An axeman's gathering.
So we've seen 2 heats, Troy, going
Two
to
heats.
3 and 4.
Yeah, jumping into the next 2 heats coming up, and we've already seen a really great starting run from Szymon Groenwald. And like I was saying just before we went to that clip of the original Extreme Sport, he can sit back and he can, I'm not going to say relax because we're just into the first event here, in the first discipline, but he can sit back and watch where the other guys come out. And so if we see some of these times like 33 and 42 consistently through the list of players, then he can be confident that he's going to go to the next discipline with some good points in his pocket.
So let's take a look at the next heat. Marcin Juskowski and Tomasz Kowal up on stage now. And you can hear the crowd, they're getting louder and louder. And that, of course, is always very nice to see the big support from the crowd, even for some of the athletes that might not be the favorites in this competition.
Okay, gentlemen.
But,
Athletes ready.
Stand
They
to
love it.
your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Floaty. I mean, STIHL Timbersports fans are some of the most loyal fans you're ever going to see in your life. And here we see Juskowski and Kowal going at it. And again, we're seeing these really rapid hits. A big stick there by Kowal as he gets that axe caught in there, has to turn around to the other side. He's about 2 or 3 hits now behind Juskowski, who is looking very good. Kowal going for those short, stuttery hits down, trying to keep the pace high. Juskowski is, oh wow, that really worked well for him. Kowal with a personal best 28-38.
you were just calling it, yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying he had those really short, choppy hits, and Juskowski with a 38-39. Kowal, I wouldn't have done that. I mean, he wasn't taking the swings from the rafters, but he was keeping the pace up, and it worked for him. In this case, he's got himself the 2nd position in the underhand chop and a personal best.
Congratulations. Both cuts are good.
He seems pleased by that. Nicely done.
And indeed he is. I mean, we've seen 6 athletes and 3 personal bests. So Poznan seems to be a very good ground for our Polish athletes.
Yeah,
Really
I mean,
rocking it.
we're still seeing Szymon Groenwald up at the top of the rankings so far in this first discipline. Lots of action still to come there. But you can see here on the far side of the stage there, the first few drivers were coming from on high by Tomasz Kowal. Yeah, he was using the power and the swing weight of the axe to really get through, but he got stuck there, and then a couple more hits on that first side before they moved over to the other side. Now you can see here, he's not really taking it as high, but he's keeping his hands in that one position on the axe. And that is tiring. It's also really demanding on the wrist because you're tweaking your wrist to get the axe out of the wood. So those short hits and not changing his hand positions, really, it seemed to work well for him, and he's got himself a time of 28:10 at the end of this heat, and sits now in 2nd place as we send our next 2 athletes.
So that's Artur Krupinski and Kamil Dubicki. And if we look at the personal bests, with Dubicki, just over 20 seconds.
Shocker.
Yeah.
A jego rywalem jest Kamil Dubicki, 28 lat, OSP Wrątowice Dolnośląskie, STIHL Timbersport od 2019 roku.
And from our position, it's also beautiful to see the crowd moving in towards the stage, getting closer and closer just to see their favorite athletes.
Well, now that it's not raining buckets, it's a little bit easier for them to enjoy the time.
Very
Here
true,
we go.
very true.
Timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, nice start by both of these guys. That was a very quick start by Kamil Dubicki. I'm going to question maybe a little bit of an illegal start. I hope not for his sake, but both of them looking good. Dubicki over to the other side of his block already. He's looking very quick today. He's not going to beat that 19 seconds, but he's going to have himself a good time if he can stay consistent on these hits there. Krupinski coming hard on the 2nd side. Dubicki's through in 24:41. Krupinski still fighting through that 2nd side, finding that finally, getting it through at 28:38, but he's got a lot of material left there in the middle, so that may be a problem as well because he needs to have a clean cut through. Let's see what our final timing is all about for these 2 gentlemen.
But for now, that would be the 2nd best time and the 4th best time, meaning quite a good amount of points for
Okay,
both athletes.
congratulations. Both cuts are good.
So everything seems fair, and there you have official times for both these gentlemen. 24:19, the 2nd fastest time, as you mentioned, for Kamil Dubicki. Tomasz Kowal still holding on to third place, and Artur Krupinski is now in fourth place. You can see here, really, really nice drivers by Kamil there.
Big
He's
chops.
just getting some big chips coming out of that block. Really nicely done. You can see here the switch to the other side. It was a little bit of a hop, and in these conditions, these guys need to be really careful about those hops around to the other side because those blocks can be slippery. We did have a little bit of rain earlier, and unfortunately for our athletes, most of those blocks were sitting out in the rain before they got moved up onto stage. So yeah, they have to make sure they're really careful about transitioning from one side to the other because they're only dealing with a space for their foot that's about that wide. And, you know, it's not a lot of room, especially when you got a couple of big boys out there with big feet. So,
and you were telling me a bit about the technique before, and unluckily you couldn't see it because we had other people, but you were like demonstrating it perfectly. Maybe you can show our audience where the big difference is.
He was holding, like normally what you'll see is the guys will choke up on the axe with one hand and then reposition their hands up high, or down low rather, on the end of the axe for more power. And Koval was just lifting it out and keeping his hands in that place. So that's really wrenching on the wrists. And I mean, you got to have power in order to be able to do that. And he was also short chopping on that second side. So it worked for him, whatever works, right? He got through in a very good time. If I'm looking at my timer here, 28:10 was the official time for him. So it worked. He got through first in that heat. We should also point out that these head-to-head heats are not elimination. They're just about getting the time on the board. Fastest time gets the most points. Slowest time, obviously, the least points.
We'll have some elimination coming up for STIHL Timbersports fans tomorrow.
Yeah, wow, that's going to be fun. Keep an eye out for tomorrow's action.
But for today, it's to collect points. You know,
correct.
It's to make sure to get to the next round. It's to make sure to proceed in the competition, just like we're proceeding with our next heat. And that, of course, is coming up on stage right now. Here they are.
So Christian Kaczmarek, he's got a ton of experience. You can also see that he's got a pretty nice personal best time of 21:16. Marcin Dubicki with a time of 28:16. Are we going to see a personal best for Marcin today? We will find out. We know the Dubickis are always working hard, and I'm kind of seeing a Groenwald-Dubicki final heading towards the way this day is going down. I would love to see that, absolutely. As we mentioned earlier on, when we showed you the video of the format for today, underhand chop is where we're at the moment. Then we go on to stock saw and standing block chop.
Okay,
after those three disciplines, we will eliminate the bottom-ranked athletes.
3, 2, 1, go!
So both of these guys getting started right away quickly. Kaczmarek had a bit of a sticky axe on that first driver, but got moving again. And Dubicki on the other side looking very good. He got a sticky axe, but he's quick to the other side. 2.5, 3 strokes ahead of Kaczmarek. Kaczmarek working hard on the second side. Dubicki looking very good. He's going to have himself a personal best of 22:12. Fantastic job. Very, very nice. And you know these guys are working hard. You know they're training with each other, and you know they're pushing their limits absolutely.
Progress
and it just shows you right there the progress is absolutely unbelievable. Dubicki with a personal best, well done. And Kaczmarek not looking happy with that result at all, sitting in 6th place at the moment. And it's right now, it's Groenwald atop the underhand chop rankings with Marcin Dubicki and Kamil Dubicki in 2nd and 3rd place respectively. And we have official times locked in, and it is an officially good, great best time for Dubicki there with a 21.88. Look at this. No, I misspoke. I thought that Kaczmarek got caught in that first driver, but he didn't actually. But you can see here big slaps flying away from both of these guys' blocks. Look how clean Kaczmarek's sides are, though. So smooth and so accurate, each of those drivers. Very nice. And right here you can see the axe sneaks through, and then the final driver right there for Marcin Dubicki.
Smooth one to finish it off.
I mean, it's important. You can see how smooth the sides of those cuts are. And when you have those really nice, clean, accurate cuts, you're not cutting fresh wood each time. And that's something that you can keep an eye out as an audience member if you want, is just see where these guys are cutting and if they're cutting stepped or if they're cutting nice and clean. If they're cutting stepped, that means they're cutting new wood each time. And that's not very accurate.
Now that is a heat I have been waiting for. Jacek Groenwald against Marcin Daga. Oh boy, that's routine against, I don't know, the biggest biceps.
Oh, man.
I felt for a long time when he was shaking our hands yesterday.
Yeah.
Mine is still hurting from
Our
that.
producer Grubex was saying, hey, I wish my legs were the same size as his arms. So there you have a man who's got a lot of experience in Szymon Groenwald.
And who must be a great teacher also.
Absolutely. Marcin Darga. Oh, he's using a banana boat.
Okay,
Interesting.
gentlemen.
Marcin
Athletes,
Darga, you
ready.
can see the power there.
Stand to your timber.
Let's see if he's made some
3,
improvements here.
2, 1, go!
So you could see Marcin Darga right away. He's trying to hit that as quickly as possible. He's also not choking up on that axe.
Oh, wow.
Watch his hands. They're not moving on the axe handle barely at all. Now he switches to the other side. Hand position doesn't move at all. Same thing there for Groenwald on a couple of his drivers. However, he does choke up on the axe a little bit more. And
There's
Darga
the
with the
next
personal
best.
19.94. Does he take over the top spot, though? No, he will not, unless there is a major adjustment from our competition control center. Szymon Groenwald with a 30.95, waiting for the final checks from our stage judges.
I'm starting to sweat here. Things are getting hot.
I don't know if that's because of the weather or because of the action on stage, but I tell you what, they're looking good up there.
Okay,
Putting
congratulations.
some extra weights around his
Both
chest.
cuts are good.
Wow, look at that, 19.67. So just sneaking into second place behind Szymon Groenwald with 63 hundredths of a second slower. But wow, look at the pace that he starts hitting here. And the accuracy is also very good for that pace. That's unbelievable. Sometimes with the pace, you miss on the accuracy, but it's clear that Darga has been working on his accuracy along with that pace of the axe movement. And boy, he is quick today, looking very good.
Unbelievable.
The boy is motivated, I tell you that.
A Godzilla scream there.
Szymon Groenwald with the last final driver. Not the time that he wanted to see at the moment. He is sitting down there in 8th place, so he's got his work cut out for him, assuming that he can make it to the next round. And we will be taking 8 athletes into the next round. But before that happens, we still have a few more
And one more heat coming
two
up.
more disciplines
But what
to go.
about, I mean, a perfect way to kick it off. Our position, I really have to say, is so enjoyable. We've got the crowd on this side, we've got the stage on that side. We can take a look at the score for the moment, and you see how close they get together. With Szymon Groenwald, that's a bit of a surprise for me to be even faster than Darga in this personal best on the top 3. Everybody wanting and needing to collect as many points as possible. As we have 14 athletes, you mentioned at the beginning. Normally we have 12, now we have 14, and only 8 will go into the next round. After that, we'll only have 6 to go to the hot. So everybody needs to collect every single point, and that's what they are here for. And we've got one more heat, and that is such a cracker. This is where everything
It's going to be crazy. So
is going to go crazy here on stage.
here's where we may see a changing of the guard in the overall rankings, because we have Arkadiusz Drozdek and Michal Dubicki coming up on stage. Now, both of these guys are super solid, but if you watch Michal Dubicki, when he's hitting on the underhand chop, he uses a very similar style to the Australians, or to what we just saw Marcin Darga do. Quick, accurate, powerful drivers, yeah? Arkadiusz Drozdek there, he is a legend of Polish timber sports. As I mentioned, dealing with a little bit of an injury on his hand the last year, but he is back and ready to go. Michal Dubicki is just such a powerful man, so big, so strong. Here we go.
To your timber.
So I would say the reigning
3,
champion against
2, 1,
maybe the favorite
go.
of today's competition.
It's possible. Now you can see the pace right away by Dubicki, yeah? He gets into it, but Drozdek right there
some
with
nice
him.
chops
Bit
there.
of a sticky one, and you could see really nice transfer by Dubicki as he hopped over to the other side of the block. Drozdek has his work cut out for him now, as Dubicki is well ahead. He's about 4 or 5 strokes, and Dubicki with the fastest time of the day so far with an 18.57. He takes over the top spot by 47 hundredths of a second, just ahead of Szymon Groenwald. And Drozdek
he's not
struggling
gonna
to
be
get
happy
through
with
there.
that.
One step down with a 33.5. That's a bit of a tough one for Arkadiusz Drozdek, currently sitting in 9th place. So he is just outside of that wire if we were to move the competition into the next round now. But luckily, we have 2 more disciplines to go before we eliminate a few
Okay,
athletes.
congratulations. Both cuts are good.
So Michal Dubicki putting the hammer down and telling Szymon Groenwald, yeah, not yet, my boy, not yet. So but look at this. Look at the pace that even in slow-mo, he looks like he's moving at regular pace for everybody else. And his drivers are so powerful, so accurate. Arkadiusz Drozdek, he's letting that hair grow long, going for the model look here as he starts hammering away. You can see here, switch to the other side, and Arkadiusz was still on his first side and then switched over about 4 or 5 strokes after Michal, and then Michal was just through with a really, really nice time there. Very well done by Michal Dubicki with an 18.42. And there, the disappointed Arkadiusz Drozdek stepping down. All right, so there we go with the results from the underhand chop, and that will also be our current overall results, as this is our first discipline of 3 in round number 1.
So we have Dubicki up on top with 12 points, Szymon Groenwald with 11 in second position, and Marcin Darga with 10 points in third. Then we have Dubicki with 9 and 8, Koval position 6 at the moment, and so on. As of course, the 13th and 14th position receive no points, as explained in the beginning for the tournament format. But things have only just begun.
Yes.
This was the first discipline of the first round, and of course the first round consists of 3 disciplines. The next one that's coming up, that's a very special one, because we're going to see a chainsaw involved, the MS661, which is a chainsaw that you can buy in a shop, that I can buy in a shop, that anyone at home can buy in a steel dealer shop. And that is the one these athletes are using.
Yeah, there's nothing overly special or adapted about these saws. This is like Marcus just said, these are saws that you can buy at your local steel dealer. What the thing is here is it's about the operator. Hearing the motor, feeling the motor in your hand, how much pressure to put on the saw, how much pressure to apply when you're lifting, and controlling the throttle. So it's not about the power here like what we just saw in the underhand chop, where you have to have accuracy and power. Here you have to have accuracy, but you also have to have a bit of feel. You have to have a bit of that, that fine hearing and fine feeling for the motor, to see if you can hear it bog down a bit. If you push too hard, that chain's going to stop, or it's going to slow down. You're not cutting clean and efficiently. So here's where some of those guys that weren't maybe so strong in the underhand chop or in one of the other disciplines, that's sawing discipline, where you're using like a normal saw, this is the opportunity for them to gain some points.
And this, of course, is the unofficial version, the official version of Tool and Discipline coming up right now.
The STIHL MS661CM stock saw is used in STIHL Timbersports as the ultimate test of operator skill. Designed for the toughest jobs in forestry, it produces approximately 7.3 horsepower, has a displacement of 91.1 cc, and weighs 7.4 kilograms. To ensure evenly and fairly matched saws, professional steel technicians prepare and test the saws before each competition. Stock saw. After the starting shot, the contestants have to cut 2 wooden discs, so-called cookies, within a 10-centimeter mark, 1 downward and 1 upward. The attempt is only valid when both discs have been cut off completely and within the marks.
So there's the start list for our stock saw, with Gorski taking on Groenwald in the first heat, Majewski against Dubicki in heat number 2, Dubicki against Krupicki in heat number 3, Adamovic against Darga heat number 4, Kaczmarek against Groenwald in heat 5, Dubicki against Koval in heat 6, and Drozdek against Juszkowski in heat number 7. We can see the seasonal best just under 10 seconds. That is a big, big one. Off we go.
All right, so we saw these 2 guys going against each other in the underhand chop. We will see them going against each other now in the stock saw. And you can see the world record 8.51, national record 941. So not too much difference between these two here as far as records go. And are we going to see a record fall today? Hard to say, hard to achieve.
I would be surprised in this discipline, to be honest.
Yeah, I would be too. I mean, we've seen some really good cuts from these guys in the past, but it takes a lot. And we should be through this discipline fairly quickly. This is an opportunity now for Szymon to add some more points to his ranking here. And this is just one of the sounds that any of you gas heads out there will enjoy having when you come to a live STIHL Timbersports event. Here we go.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Very nice start by both of our guys. That is a thin cookie, but we've got a cutout by Gorski. That's a problem. Szymon Groenwald already working on his upcut. This is going to be a good one for Groenwald. Personal best 11:27. And Gorski struggling to find that second cut. He had to recut the first cookie as he had a cutout. Would have been a disqualification, but now does he have 2 complete cookies on the deck? That is the question.
But this Szymon Groenwald, another personal best. I mean, what is going on with this guy?
Well, I mean, you're going to see personal bests across the board for him today because this is his first pro competition. So they will all be personal bests, but the time is what's important for me.
Okay, congratulations.
11:27 officially for Szymon Groenwald. He doesn't even seem very pleased about that. He's probably cut faster at home, but I tell you what, that's a fantastic run for Szymon, and he's got himself back atop the rankings here with this cut. Watch him here. 2 different styles. You could see Szymon drops the motor down below the bar and lets the motor do the cutting there. And on that one, that was Koval or Gorski, excuse me. And there's a quick adjustment. Nice transition to the upcut from Szymon Groenwald. And now Koval struggling, Gorski, excuse me, struggling to try and find that upcut. And a very, very clean cut from Szymon. That's a nice thin cookie though for Karol Gorski. Unfortunately, it just came a little bit too late after too many adjustments to try and find the line.
But to be frank with you, like any time under 12 seconds, I would have thought is a great time for Szymon Groenwald. But just like you mentioned, I felt he wasn't happy with it. Let's see what Krzysztof Majewski and Michal Dubicki can do in this second heat. Again, the personal best very close. Just over 12 seconds, just over 11 seconds. So this could be a deal. Do you feel like if you're on stage together with another athlete who's about as good as you, is that some extra motivation? Is that something that might push you to an even better time?
Well, for me, if I know that I'm on on stage with another athlete that's about as good as I am, which is like really bad, then, you know, I'm going to try my best and I'd be fighting against myself. Now, where it motivates me is if I were to be on stage with an athlete that's better than I am, then I would play, it's called playing up.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when you're playing hockey in a team against a team that's better than you, you tend to play it better because you have to in order to survive. So I think that's what's happening a lot here.
1, go!
Just let these guys get started before I finish my thought. The tail of the tape so far hasn't really been super on point today. Bit of a switch to make the cut for Majewski. Dubicki with a nice time of 11:70, so just outside the time by 56 hundredths of a second for Dubicki, with Szymon Groenwald still holding on to the top spot.
Oh, you can see our judges taking a careful look just to make sure that everything is correct. Oh,
It looks like we might have a cut outside the line for Majewski. That's what they're taking a look at there as our cameraman tries to get close in. And that will mean a disqualification for Krzysztof Majewski.
they just have those 10 centimeters, don't they?
Yeah, it's not a lot of space, especially if you're not
we have a
cutting thin.
disqualification for a
there's the
cut
confirmation.
line. However, this cut is good.
That's disappointing for Krzysztof Majewski. Gets a DQ, but like you mentioned, there's only 10 centimeters. And there is a saying with these particular instruments, thin to win. And you could see in that one picture before the slow-mo started, he had a really thick second cookie, and that was where the problem happened. He had a real proper big one there. Now, this first cookie, it's pretty big, you know, as far as these guys are concerned. This is a nice thin one from Dubicki. And there, a little bit of a tap on the transition to the upcut.
I didn't even
but he
see that
kept it
before.
thin. But look at the thickness of the second cookie, and you can see he's running into that blue line, and that's where the problem was. It's also real important to keep that bar of the saw straight. So if you cut at a slight angle, you might see on your side,
yeah.
you know, it's like a small angle is going to put you in a really rough position for getting the cut.
And already our next athletes coming up on stage. The crew doing a great job making sure that everything is ready. This is for Michal Dubicki and, of course, his opponent, Artur Krupinski.
Krupinski has a very nice personal best time of just over 10 seconds. So if he can hold on to that, he may well take top spot here today. There are guys that specialize in the different disciplines. It's really the athletes that are well-rounded in all the disciplines that do well down the road. But there are guys that can take the top spot in the individual disciplines. And I think that maybe Artur Krupinski is one of those guys here.
And it does look like it started to rain again.
A little bit. Not badly, though. We've got robust people here in Poland.
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Krupinski on the right-hand side of your stage. Yeah, really nice start. Ooh, that's a big fat block for Dubicki, though. He's going to have trouble on that upcut. Ooh, and Krupinski's got a bit of an angle. That's going to be a problem for him. He's going to need to go back and recut that if he wants to. Oh, he stopped the saw. Oh, and he just noticed it. It's too late for him. And that means we're going to have a flag on the play, an incomplete disc, and a disqualification for Artur Krupinski. Oh, that is disappointing. And he only saw it after he stopped the saw.
I thought it was obvious for him, and he was just going to go for the next
cookie. So we have
but
a disqualification for an incomplete cookie. However, this cut is good.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about the angle of the blade, because from your perspective as a person cutting that block, you can't really see past the motor, right? So you think you're having a good cut, and if you don't see it, so this first cut from Krupinski was real nice. It was good and thin. He had good flow. He stepped into the cut a little bit, but here you see a really fat block to start by Dubicki. And this is the transition that became a problem right there.
We have it, there we have it.
The angle of the saw was not perfectly straight. So on his side, he sees the motor and it feels good. Then he looks over to see where Dubicki was at, but he didn't pay attention to his block. When it fell down, that cookie fell onto the floor incomplete, and he had already stopped the saw and placed it down, and that means he can't do anything anymore. If he had seen it and had noticed it, he could have gone back in and made the other cut. He would have been slow, but he would have had some points.
Oh, that is painful.
Yeah, that's a rough one for
talking about
Krupinski.
Talking about pain, here comes Marcin Darga. He's taking Robert Adamovich. And these personal bests are very, very close together again. 11.98 versus 11.33. And still on top, Szymon Groenwald with a personal best that he was not so happy and pleased about. So let's see if these two guys can change something about that. Because now we're slowly but surely starting to think about overall rankings of the two disciplines. You know, you can already have collected quite an important number of points that might get you into great position as we proceed to rounds 2 and 3.
Well, we'll definitely see a shifting of the guard once we get a look at the overall standings. After these heats are done in the stock saw, we also do have one more set of heats in the discipline standing block chop after stock saw. So that's when it's going to get critical for these guys that are in the first round here.
Warm up your saws.
So we're well into these heats here, and it looks like we may not need a block change, but maybe with 2 or 3 more athletes we might have to. We'll see.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Very nice start by both of these guys. Darga got a very stand upright style.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow, that's a beautiful transition by Marcin Darga. He's going to have a clean cut there with an 11.94. That puts him in fourth place. Wow, that's close on the times. Adamovich with a 12.74 in 5th place at the moment.
Must be a 3rd place altogether on the overall rankings. But again, our judges...
I think we're okay, though. Adamovich, it looked like he had a really thin cut.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are
But we're
good.
safe. All right, so Adamovic and Darga both safe there. Nice time by Marcin Darga with 11.74. So, I mean, these are really close times if you look at the top 4 guys. Szymon Groenwald with an 11.14. Marcin Dubicki with an 11.51. Marcin Darga with an 11.74. Kamil Dubicki with an 11.91. That's not a lot of difference between these guys here. And you can see here, really nice control, great transition, and that upcut from Darga was very, very nice.
Absolutely.
Just kicked the saw out, that last little one here.
Great
And
pictures that we're getting delivered here from our camera
Yeah.
crew, by the way. That's beautiful to see. A bit of
Adamovic.
rain in the background makes it almost romantic.
I don't know if I would say romantic. I mean, you're using a motor saw there, okay?
Yeah.
Why not? Run with it.
Big cheers from the crowd again. Cuddling up under their umbrellas.
Yeah, we have very many black and colorful umbrellas in our audience right now to hide away from the rain as our next 2 athletes come out.
So here's our heat number 5, Christian Kaczmarek against Jacek Groenwald. Oh, wow.
Close, tail of the tape, but as I mentioned earlier, tail of the tape isn't giving us much indication today. Kaczmarek usually very, very good in this discipline, so if he can get a nice thin starting cookie and a good transition, he'll be solid here. Jacek Groenwald.
Last touch of the wood, huh?
Yeah. Well, I mean, these guys will use a wax marker to make sure that their first and second cuts are lined up for themselves so that they have
Okay,
a guide
gentlemen.
on the front side of the
Warm up your
block. So as
swords.
soon as they can see that line, as long as their blade or their bar is lined up and straight, then they know they'll be safe with their cuts. But it's very much about making sure that you've got a solid position. And you can see there,
Testing
Jacek
out,
struggling
yeah.
a little bit with some slipperiness there on the deck. So hopefully that will
Athletes ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Dead even start by both Kaczmarek and Groenwald. Kaczmarek with a little bit of a fat cookie. Wow, that's a swing of a transition.
Oh, that's very thin. That's very thin. Is that going to be all right?
Whoa, look how close that is. Kaczmarek with a 12 and Groenwald with a 12.57. And something was up. He was mentioning something about the floor being very, very slippery as Bart Janssen checks Christian Kaczmarek's
Cookies,
discs to make sure everything is complete. Do we have a thumbs up?
Oh, that's a massive cookie.
Well, that is a massive cookie from Groenwald, and he hasn't gone over the new line by the looks of it. It does look like he's got a complete cookie, but these guys are making sure they really, really check it closely. They want to be fair on each of these decisions because
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
I was just going to finish my
the
thought there.
response from the
Yeah.
audience, brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. The future of these guys moving on in these different disciplines comes down to the decision the judges make sometimes, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you can see there's Kaczmarek starting with that. That's a pretty fat cookie, all things considered. This was a nice cookie from Groenwald, and that's also a nice second cookie from Groenwald, but he got a little bit thicker towards the top of the cut, and this again comes down to the angle of the bar that these guys have on the saw. So, you know, it's a really important situation that they have their alignment really, really on point.
Great pictures. And just from your explanations, I'm going to buy myself an MS661 just to find out how it is, because obviously it looks like you're focusing, you know, on your saw, you're focusing on the motor, you're focusing on the log, and that you don't realize, you know, that you're not in perfect angle to get that cookie going, and then things like these can happen and arouse it.
Yeah, that's what we saw with Artur Krupinski. The angle of it was just a little bit like this, and he had a cutout, and it was a clear cutout from our perspective, but when you're standing over this huge block, you don't see that, so the angle and the motor is all in the way, and he looked immediately over to the other athlete instead of watching the cookie drop. If he had watched the cookie drop, then he might have said, oh, I need to make another cut, and then he would have had, wouldn't have been good points, but it would have been at least points on the board instead of a 0. So that's a bit of a, that's an experience thing. It's sometimes, you know, the guys are excited about who's on stage with them and they forget themselves a little bit. That's competition. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, this is where the heart is, and of course our heart is with the next heat. That's another cracker with Michal Dubicki coming up on stage right now against Tomasz Kowal, and that's going to be a really nice one to see. Here they are. I mean, look at the eyes of the man.
Dubicki is focused. Oh, excuse me. That's a
wrong
different heat lineup there, so we didn't get the right graphic.
But no worries, it is still the two men that we just mentioned, Michal Dubicki and Szymon.
There we go.
Koval, as we have him here up now, and look at the personal bests, 10.62 and 10.59.
Again, nice lineup of the times
I couldn't be
here.
better.
Dubicki's been funny with this one from time to time, though. He's had good cuts and he's had bad cuts, and it really boils down to where his headspace is at. He's been disqualified with the motor saws in past because of rushing the cuts a bit too much.
And maybe that was the reason he was, pointing at the crowd. Please
it might
stay quiet so I can focus, I can concentrate.
You might need to focus a little bit there. You're absolutely correct, Loki. We saw last year, Dubicki lost it in the hot saw, and we've seen him in past have trouble with the stock saw. So if he's been, as we know, working on it, he should be solid here today. Let's see how he does.
3, 2, 1, go!
Dubicki on the left-hand side.
That's a great start. That's a great start.
Very nice start. Watch the transition here. A bit of a swing by both of them. Koval's got a nice thin cookie on that upcut. He's going to have this one in 11:49. Dubicki in 11:23. It was a little bit faster at the top of the cut. Will they be good cookies, though? Dubicki's not pleased with that cut because he knows he can cut faster.
And we have to wait for the final time of the judges because Groenwald had 11.14, and if I'm not mistaken, it's Dubicki with just 1 point of 100 faster with 11.13, if that's the confirmed time.
It is! So Dubicki takes over the top spot again. So it's Dubicki, Groenwald heading towards each other. It seems like collision course is on here.
How close can it be?
Oh.
11.13 to 11.14 for the top spot.
I'm going to make the wacky prediction that it's going to be Dubicki going up against Groenwald in the final, in the hot saw, and it's going to come down to whether or not Dubicki can keep himself together for the hot saw and whether or not Groenwald has been really taking the time to make sure that he's got that hot saw under control.
This is unreal. And that would mean that only 2 points are separating these two in the overall standings.
I mean, so far Dubicki's got 2 wins, and that's 2 top spots, so that's 12 points for each one of those wins. Szymon Groenwald, 2 second places, so that's 11 points for each one of those, so 24 against 22. And the next closest score is Marcin Darga with 18 points as our next 2 athletes come out on stage for heat number 7.
So can they turn this around? Can they make some severe changes in the top spots?
Marcin Yukowski with the national record.
So it is possible.
It is possible.
And of course, Drozdek, always a man you have to watch. My word. Talk about national championships really giving you the goosebumps. I mean, this is rocking.
Marcin Yukowski with a 9.47 personal
Okay,
best.
gentlemen.
So that's very
Warm up your swords.
The thing about Arkadiusz is that he's got so much experience, he doesn't stress about when he's not at the top of the rankings early on. He knows that he just needs to stay consistent and solid to get himself to the hot saw.
3,
so never
2,
count that man out. Here we go. Very nice start by Arkadiusz Drozdek. He's got a bit of a hefty cookie, though. It's going to come down to transition. Ooh, yeah. Yukowski with a fantastic transition, but Drozdek's got him. 10.69.
Oh,
that is a beautiful cut by Drozdek. Stock saw. He's got the #1 spot in stock saw, and he needed that today, absolutely. So very, very well done by Arkadiusz Drozdek. Marcin Yukowski in second place on that one. That pushes Michal Dubicki and Szymon Groenwald down to 3rd and 4th places, respectively.
Congratulations. Both cuts are good.
So we will have a little bit of shifting around in the overall standings. We'll take a look at that here in just a second when we take a look at those standings after the slow-mos. But look at this.
The 2 fastest men in this discipline.
Steps into that cut there. You can see he's got a bit of an angle there. It's a bit of a fat cookie to start things off with. Both of these guys had fantastic transitions. Watch this we don't get to see it, unfortunately, but The transition and the upcut were beautiful by both of them, and it's Drozdik just a little bit faster. You asked about playing up. Well, Drozdik played up against the guy who's got the national record here. That was a beautiful second
both of
cookie
them
there
really
from
delivered.
Jaskowski.
Absolutely. Yeah. We know it is their best discipline, and they really showed it is.
So there we see our stock saw ranking. So Drozdik on top of that 10.58, Jaskowski just behind him by 0.25 of a second with a 10.83. Then we see Dubicki and Groenwald. So that's really the battle I'm interested in for today. The third and fourth place guys in the stock saw.
And for them, it doesn't make a difference in the points.
No, it doesn't
Still
really.
2 points in favor of Dubicki.
Yeah, but now we're going to look at the overall standings as we see the shifting here. Watch what happens in the rankings.
And we have 3 guys in third position.
Yeah,
Can
and
you
look
dig
at
it?
the jump. Look at the jump by Drozdik. He's jumped from 9th position up to 5th there. We have
Back in the game.
at the top of the rankings, right behind him, the new pro Groenwald, then Darga, who's really pushing this year. And then we have Marcin Dubicki there. So it's a fantastic battle right off the hop. We're seeing some really great action for these athletes. It's going to be fun as this day progresses. We got one more discipline in round 1, and that is the standing block chop. And this could be the one that separates the wheat from the chaff. And
I was going to say the men from the boys, maybe, but no,
these are all men out there. These are all men.
Talking about
there.
all men, you know, the World Championship is coming up very soon, and we're very excited about that. So maybe we can have a look at what to expect in Stuttgart at the end of the season.
Action, pure action.
Herzlich willkommen, Stuttgart!
A new world record for Sterling Hart. To celebrate the 90th anniversary, STIHL has brought the STIHL Timbersports World Championship back to Stuttgart.
I kind of love November, but I kind of hate November as well, because it is the final one of the season, but it's the big one. It's the World Championship. And of course, Stuttgart is going to be absolutely crazy this year.
Getting close to the holiday season, but also the end of our STIHL Timbersports season. But hey, we got lots of stuff still to come before November. There's tons of action.
Standing
still
block
to come
chop, for instance.
Today, standing block chop, for instance. Exactly right.
Let's take a closer look at tool and discipline.
Standing block chop. At the standing block chop, the felling of a tree with an axe is simulated. A vertically positioned wooden block with a diameter of 30 centimeters has to be cut through both sides. A powerful and precise swing with the axe is the premise of a good result.
So here's the start list for this third discipline in this first round. It's Gorski taking on Groenwald. Jaskowski in heat number 2 against Adamovic. We've got Koval taking on Krupinski in heat number 3. Heat number 4 consisting of Majewski and Groenwald. Rozdek against Dubicki in heat number 5. Dubicki against Kaczmarek in heat number 6. And of course Dubicki against Darga in heat number 7. How about that? Family ties coming up all the way as we're getting ready for this so important third discipline in this first round. This is where maybe you can set your position for being a champion here at the Polish
this
Nationals.
is where you've got to be among the top, the fastest top 8 athletes in the group in order to make it to the next round.
Maybe not only the top 8 if you want to fight for the win. You know, I guess you should be in position at least
minimum top 5 in order to fight for the win, because you have to know that those points are very important. Now these guys are also, you could see right there that Gorski is taking a moment just to try and dry off the sole of his shoes, because they're walking over a wet stage and wet ramp to get onto the stage. And this,
and we have seen slips in the standing block chop.
and this is such a discipline where you absolutely have to have perfect grip on that deck. You want to make sure that and our stage crew does such a fantastic job of making sure that that stage is clean and free of sawdust and stuff, especially for this discipline. Here we go.
3, 2, 1, go!
So we know that Szymon Groenwald is just an absolute beast. We've seen him be solid all day long. Look how quick he is. Over to the other side. He is just not letting anybody have any leeway here at all today. Gorski working hard on the first side.
Boom.
Oh my goodness, season's best national record for the pros.
No
And Szymon
way.
Groenwald with a 16:07 has just thrown the gauntlet down against all these big guys with experience, and he is really making a name for himself. 4 world records, no less than 4 world records this year as a rookie alone, and steps up to the pro level and absolutely annihilated that block in 16:07. That is
Seasonal
fantastic.
best national record. I cannot believe this try.
Yeah, and Karol Górski fighting to get through there. He's got the power, but he's going with really straight cuts getting in there, and he wants to have those angles to get that material away. You can see there each time he's trying to cut new material and just making it hard on himself. And the axe angle plays such a huge role, but you know that's going to get better each time that he goes out there, and we should see a personal best for him as well. 1:14.20 for Górski. He'll take that home and work on it.
Yes. But are you kidding me? This youngster is just killing it.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So strong, so clean.
And we talked about personal bests
Okay,
coming up, but I mean, that really is a
Welcome to
number. That's a national record.
Look at this, it's even gotten a bit quicker with a 15.72 after adjustment. So
Wow.
that's a national record. A national record. His first pro contest on the standing block chop. That is impressive. But look at how clean he is. Look at how powerful, how accurate he is. Okay, not there so much, but yeah.
But imagine being a pro, standing behind the stage now and then hearing
Watching this kid, huh?
that he has just demolished another record, a
This
national record.
18-year-old punk taking over
So you
our
want to beat him
positions
this
here.
year, or at the latest next year, because you know in 24, 25, where is this kid going to go?
No, there's only up for him at this point. He's just so good. Final driver there for Górski, and we'll move on to our next heat coming onto stage.
We had just heard it. Marcin Juszkowski against Robert Adamovich.
Now, Will mentioned earlier you saw Karol Górski rubbing the soles of his shoes on the boards, just try and dry them off. What I did notice there after the fact was that Szymon actually was wearing spikes. So he had flip-flops on over top of his shoes to protect the spikes so he could walk on and walk off. And those are like track and field spikes to add a little bit more grip on the stage there. So we might see a couple of these guys wearing it. In this case, these two gentlemen not, but
Okay, gentlemen.
you will see that from time to time, and it
Athletes,
is allowed.
ready.
Stand to
But it's
your
not raining
timber.
anymore, but still, it's kind of moist. And,
It's moist, and walking
go.
over the deck to get onto the stage, it gets slippery because your shoes get a bit wet there. As Juszkowski on the left-hand side there, and Adamovich on the right-hand side working on their standing block chop.
Oh,
And
people
there
are
we
really
go.
getting
Nice
into
big
it now.
slap
The
coming
crowd.
off for Juszkowski, and you can hear the audience in the background. There's some family members definitely screaming. Adamovich, a couple of straight cuts in there. You can see the angle, not really that
Okay,
sharp
that's-
as he
that's
switches over to the other
interesting.
side. So he's got about 2.5 drivers. And you can see already these guys are getting a little bit tired. So fitness is playing a massive role
Yeah,
for
of
these
course it
athletes every single time. That was very close for
Oh,
Adamovich.
getting
as
some
a slip,
extra
and he's
motivation here.
coming close to getting the top off there. He really wants it, but he's trying a little bit too hard on the far side of that block. Comes in a little bit close to him and
There we
does
go.
it. But no time stoppage there, so officially we've got 47:25, but the clock is still running. Juszkowski trying to get through there. And you can see those green markings on the block as guidelines, and Juszkowski does it in a time of 59.98. So our official clocks on our screens here stopped, but the ones on the video screen did not. But we can tell you that those times are currently unofficial until we get the final go-ahead from our...
Both
Okay,
athletes definitely
congratulations.
not reaching their personal
Both come
bests in
together.
this.
No.
And you can see by the reaction, they're not too happy with that. Quite far away, to be frank, from the youngster, Szymon Groenwald.
Well, I got the impression that they were both getting a little bit tired, and what happens is when you get tired, you start to cut flat. Instead of having an angle like this, you go in straight, and that's not really the idea. So here are the first few drivers from Adamovich. And you can see the bottom angle, not as steep as he could be, but still not bad. And here, gets a bit tired on that first side and starts to cut in a bit straight. You can see the same thing was happening on the second side for both of these guys. They were tired, and I mean, that's a lot of work. We're talking about 3 disciplines that you've worked through. One of them at the start, the underhand chop, and now the standing block chop. 2 chopping disciplines that require a lot of stamina and a lot of power and a lot of accuracy. And those moments where, you know, you need that power, you need that accuracy, your stamina starts to play a role too. So if the angle is going in nice and you keep that stamina and your fitness level is good, then those angles are nice. But as you start to get tired, you get a bit lazy with your hand position and you go in straight, and that's when your cuts start to become a little bit too
Yeah, so finally our audience can see what is happening to me, you know, while we're watching those athletes. He's showing me all the moves and everything that's happening. And I love it because we're right within the STIHL TIMBERSPORTS season 2023.
Yes.
So many things have already happened, but there's tons of stuff coming up, like the US Women's Championship tonight.
That's this weekend.
Yeah, so we're going to take a look at the competitions for 2023. I mean, that is a lot, Troy. There's a...
Yeah.
Quite a number of events that we're very much looking forward to. Like mentioned before, we've got the US Pro Championships in Milwaukee. I think that's a really nice one if you feel comfortable
They're having
today.
a Bavarian beer festival
Yes.
there, so it's almost like
Yeah,
their
we
version
should be
of
there. Well, I don't know.
Oktoberfest.
It just didn't work out for us. Of course, the Nordic Championships coming up, Swiss Pro Championships, the Austrian Championships. Then we've got the European Nations Rookie Cup with the European Nations Pro Cup. German Pro Championships, Team World Championships, and of course on the fourth, the Individual World Championships. The Grande Finale to crown the king of STIHL Timbersports in the season 2023. And to be quite honest, I think this season has been very special so far. So this could be one of the biggest things we've seen yet. So make sure to join us. I'm not sure if there are any tickets still available.
Nope,
You must
sold
be
out
very
completely.
lucky. But you can watch it, of course, on the live stream. And I mean, look at those beautiful pictures of this wonderful place here as we await the next heat. That is heat number 3, Tomasz Groenwald, that has been mentioned very loud by the announcer here. And of course, Artur Krupinski. Both of them at the same level of age, the same level of time, maybe even of size and weight. So this
similar to statistics across the board. So really, this is a battle, and excuse me, in the tail of the tape here.
Oh, that's a great picture.
It's one of the axes that these guys use. They're actually called racing axes. I mean, these are not axes that you would see.
No.
People using
not often
in the woods.
And I wouldn't advise
that are
it.
specially designed, specially cut.
Okay,
specially
gentlemen.
sharpened.
Athletes, ready.
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
So Kowal on the left-hand side of your stage and Krupinski on the right. Look at them, they're in sync with each other. And now they start to lose that sync a little bit. Krupinski, Kowal. Kowal's got some
that was a nice one.
wild shots coming from down below as they both move over to the other side at the same time, so you can see why these guys are so evenly matched. Some big slabs coming out for Krupinski there as we see some huge chips exiting that block. A little bit of a slip. Oh, and a great time by Krupinski with a 28.57 personal best. And Kowal does the same thing with a 31.01.
They're loving it.
I'm loving it.
Me too.
Somebody get me a burger.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Loved. I mean, you know, these guys are athletes. They're battlers. Every time they get out there, they want to improve and then get better and beat the other guys. But a personal best is always good. You can see both of them smiling as they both have their personal best today. And that's what we like to see as well. Personal bests mean improvement, and that means it just gets better and better. And as you mentioned earlier, it's one of the seasons where we've seen so much parity across the board.
Crazy.
For all of the athletes, it's going to be at the World Championships. It is going to be a wild time to see. It could be anybody's battle there.
And of course, these guys are still fighting to be, you know, in the top 8 of the European rankings.
So watch these drivers from below. They're coming from really flat positions. The drivers from high going down from up, or from down to, excuse me, from up to down, they have a nice angle. But it's the drivers from below. The really good athletes will take that axe down to floor level almost to make that driver on the up hit. And these guys were really flat. So once they get those angles really nice and clean on those drivers from down to up, then that's going to make their cuts that much more efficient and that much more powerful.
And there's the scenery. You can see the clouds have returned, but it's not raining at this very moment. Still, it's a bit slippery. That's something our athletes have to think about, have to take care of. You mentioned the spikes, you know, that some of them are wearing.
Yep.
Of course, this might make you feel a little uncomfortable if you're not used to doing it. And then small things that might make the big difference here in Poznan at the STIHL TIMBERSPORTS Polish National Championships.
Speaking of the rain,
yes, as I mentioned.
You jinxed us. You jinxed
oh, I'm sorry about
Loti.
that. But these men are continuing. Krzysztof Majewski and Jacek Groenwald up on stage now, trying to grab a personal best. But I mean, look at Jacek, 18.57. That is quite a number. If he can get that going, he would place himself right on the second position, which I would say is probably the position he would love best.
Absolutely, right behind the sun.
Yeah,
I mean, this
not in
is
front, but right behind
and
him.
there you see perfect example of the spikes in the shoes right there, and it's only on one shoe. Interesting by Jacek.
Oh, yeah. He was wearing the red ones when he arrived.
He's still got one red shoe on, so
maybe that's his lucky shoe.
Maybe. Yeah. Don't want to take off that back shoe.
Okay,
Interesting that he would
gentlemen.
choose the forward shoe.
Athletes, ready.
I would want to have the back
Stand
one
to
for
your
more push off the
timber.
hips, but we'll see.
3,
Everybody's got their own
2,
thing.
1, go!
So Jacek Groenwald. Now watch the action from the axe as he does the driver from down below. See how low he gets with that axe? Same thing by Majewski. He goes down low. He's not really having those big flat cuts. And you can see the angle right there, exactly what you want to see. Super nice, super accurate. Groenwald moving over to the other side of his block. Big power from both of these guys. Majewski's got... oh, wow, look at the time there by Jacek Groenwald. Not what he wanted, but 23:55. He'll take that.
Yeah, but are you kidding me? I just blinked and suddenly it was gone. It didn't look like it.
Now Majewski's second side, he's starting to get tired, so you can see those flat cuts. He does it by virtue of power only with a 37.71, but you could tell he was getting tired on that second side, and those cuts, so those drivers from below were really, really flat and not the way they would normally want to be.
So as I jinxed the rain, I also jinxed Jacek getting into second position right behind his son. He must be very pleased with that. So, let's wait for the final decision of our judges.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Thank you very much, Andrew Hall. That's what we want to hear.
Yes, we do. So right now we're looking at the standings, or we're looking at them, but the standings of the block chop are Szymon Groenwald on top with his papa Jacek Groenwald right behind him.
Now you know where he's got the spikes on the white shoe, not on the red one. Worked very well for him.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever works. However you get through that block the fastest is what these guys need to do. And I mean, if it were me, I would want to have it on my back foot. So I would push off of that back foot and use the power in my hips to try and really drive that axe through. You can see all the chips and all the pieces of the block flying out from Jacek. I mean, he's got power. He's such a tall man. He's, you know, given that genetic material to his kids as well. Long arms, tall. I mean, fantastic athletes. The whole family is just unbelievably good athletes. It's amazing to see them up there. But Szymon, he's been impressive today, absolutely.
It's crazy. And everybody, of course, is talking not only about the weather, but also about the wood.
Yes.
And the wood is very important for these athletes, and there has been quite a progress that has been seen over the last few years.
Yeah.
And sustainability is also something that is very important in 2023. And of course, STIHL TIMBERSPORTS fulfills every part of it, right?
Yes, we do. And we're not just chopping down blocks and putting them out there to cut. We're taking very good care to make sure that this wood is sustainably harvested and managed.
We as STIHL TIMBERSPORTS pride ourselves that all wood is sustainably grown, harvested and recycled to minimise the overall amount of wood processed. Firstly, this popular wood is grown on certified plantations. Secondly, the white pine for our sawing disciplines is only sourced from certified forest management. After all our STIHL competitions, all the spent wood is collected and recycled right down to the wood chips and sawdust, which, for example, is converted into renewable energy in the form of wood pellets for biomass. We quest to find certified partners. This ensures that all newly planted trees are nurtured and managed, promoting maximum efficiency and sustainability for the future conservation of our valuable forests.
Therefore, as you can see, with good harvesting practices and good management with silviculture, the ground is quickly replaced by new trees, or could even be used for arable for farmers and future rotations.
Look at our crew.
All
Still
right, so
working perfectly, just like in Formula One. That's what we like to compare him with. As we have our next heat, heat number 5, Arkadiusz Drozdek against Marcin Dubicki.
yeah, Marcin Dubicki, Arkadiusz Drozdek again. Arkadiusz, this is a discipline that he struggled a little bit in the past with due to an injury in his hand, but now he should be back in mode. He's also a very tall man. He's also got long arms, you could see. He's got plenty of pipe there, you know, sun's out, guns out. Not in this case today with the sun, but the guns are definitely there. And you can see Marcin Dubicki also with the spike shoe on that front foot. Interesting. I have to find out why the
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Right, Arkadiusz going for the big drivers there as Dubicki's really trying to put in the speed. Arkadiusz has got the experience. He wants to have some good points here as he switches to the other side. Dubicki's already on the other side. Arkadiusz pushing hard to try and get through there. Dubicki might be quick on this one. He is 25-11. Arkadiusz struggling at 27 now. A bit of a sticky axis. He's trying to get through there as quickly as possible. He needs some points if he wants to be among the top 8. Does he have enough? Yes, he does. 4th place overall at the moment. Standing block chop currently sitting in 6th, but there are still 2 more heats to go.
And there's some big athletes coming up in those 2 heats.
Yep, absolutely.
So this 3rd discipline in round number 1 really is also a maker or a breaker to proceed to round number 2. To make it to the single buck and the springboard.
Marcin Dubicki also with a personal best of 24.82, so that puts him in 3rd place in the standing block chop results. Well done by him. And Arkadiusz Drozdek in 6th place in standing block.
And again, some beautiful slow-mos that we're getting to see. The transition, that's always so important, I feel. And to get those first 2 or 3 chops in properly.
Yeah.
And they have done very well.
Right, so standing block almost done. 2 more heats to go. 1 more heat, we'll have a block change, and then that final heat number 7 coming out on the stage. Kamil Dubicki and Christian Kaczmarek.
Again, 2 personal bests very close together. That's what I love to see. Always makes it a little more exciting for me to just watch the guys, you know, pushing themselves to the limits. Rain has stopped again. Crowd back on their seats.
It's a bit on and off here. It's the weather's a bit messy, but that's not stopping our athletes
Not
or
at all.
our audience here from enjoying some great timber sports action.
Okay, gentlemen.
Au contraire, monsieur, I think it makes it even more exciting.
And the rain has started once again. It is
3,
just really,
2,
really
1,
mixed today.
Go!
So, Kamil Dubicki and Christian Kaczmarek. Kamil Dubicki has got some rocky road going on there as he is cutting crazy on that first side. He's about 4 strokes ahead of Kaczmarek on the second side as he's just going bananas at that block.
That's impressive, and he doesn't seem to stop. He's really...
He doesn't stop at all. Personal best. That was some ugly cutting from Kamil Dubicki. There was nothing accurate about it, but it worked for him. 22.89 personal best for Kamil Christian Kaczmarek with a 27.61.
Nice.
Puts him in fifth place. So that's a bit of a troublesome situation
And
for
he
Arkadiusz
doesn't seem to be
Grostek.
exhausted.
Yeah, I mean, these guys, some of them are so fit.
Yeah, but you see some heavy breathing
Okay,
after this discipline normally.
Yeah,
He
I
was
mean,
just,
he must be
oh,
able to
okay,
do
okay,
it.
now he is,
There,
now
he
he is,
just-
you're right.
He had a moment.
Yeah, yeah. The adrenaline.
Yeah. But you know what? That breeze that comes through our studio here, we got the walls up, but sidewalls are open. It's so necessary because it's so sticky and muggy out there. But look at Dubicki on the far side there. There's nothing accurate about those cuts. Look, he's all over the map with the aim, but you know what? It works for him. However he gets in there. You know what's scary though? Once he gets the accuracy, he's going to be murderously fast on the standing block chop.
You got a point there, Troy. You have got a point there because that was a great time.
Yeah.
And there's still a lot of potential.
Yeah, tons. I mean, you can see that for these guys. So an interesting fact is that there are some of the guys that actually participate in cross fitness, or, you know, those different fitness aspects, because
guys like me,
there's so many there's so many things that are happening on stage here that really parallel nicely with CrossFit. So, you know, the accuracy, the power that you need, the stamina that you need to have as well. And I mean, for these guys, it's really important to be strong on stage and have that endurance because they want to make sure they're placed well among their national, but also among the European ranking.
Oh yeah, European ranking is so important if you want to make it to Stuttgart. And I believe this year everybody's just talking about this final event and how to make it there, how to get there. We can take a short look at the current European ranking to make sure who might have the best chances of being there. I mean, Koen Martens, for instance, with 29 points, he must feel quite confident. But
yeah, I mean, he's got a lot. I mean, the top, usually it's the top 8 in the European ranking that will make it directly to the finals. I mean,
so Troy, that means if you win the Polish National Championship, it doesn't necessarily mean you are qualified for the Worlds.
No, it does not, but these guys are so strong, it's just going to come down to how many points there are for the European ranking. So in this case, we probably will not see Szymon Groenwald participating at the pro level for the individual world championship, but there's a chance that he'll be among the participating athletes on the team because he's just too good not to be there, you know?
But it's like an imaginary league between all the national champions, having an extra ranking like the one we've just seen.
They take their best times from the different disciplines, just like they would in a normal contest, and then they compare them among the best times of the disciplines.
So it really is
each
the
of the
best 8 athletes of Europe going to the World
Now, we
Championship.
only saw the best 6 there because we haven't gotten through this contest here today, and there's still a few more contests that we have to get through just to see where those European rankings end up before our World Championships in Stuttgart. So there's a lot of action still to come this year.
But like you said, the best 8 European athletes are definitely going to be there, no matter what. And that's
speaking of a couple of athletes that we want to see. Here's a battle.
Okay,
this is a battle royale. This is
Michal Dubicki versus Marcin Darga. Let's
timber.
see and watch this.
2, 1, go!
Quick start by Marcin Darga, and you
Oh,
can see.
God.
Whoa, look at the speed these guys are hitting the blocks with. It's insane. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Dubicki knows he's got some challenger on the other side of that stage. Darga over to the other side of his block, about 4 strokes ahead of Dubicki.
Vicious.
Dubicki working hard. Darga through in a personal best of 59.3. What an amazing time for Darga. Absolutely fantastic. And Dubicki, a rough finish for him at 23.62. He's definitely been faster than that in the past.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable.
If these times stand, that would mean that Szymon Groenwald, after this first round in 3 disciplines, would be in the lead. In front of Michal Dubicki and Marcin Darga.
Marcin Darga went at that block like he was hating it.
He definitely
Okay,
hated that block.
congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Wow.
Personal best 15.84. It's official for Marcin Darga. Michal Dubicki with a fantastic run at the start. But the second side of his block, I think he got a little bit stressed by seeing how deep into the block Marcin Darga was and just started to lose focus on the second side. And for Michal Dubicki, that's a bit of a rough finish here in a discipline that he is normally much better at. Whoa, look at those pieces flying off for Marcin Darga. What a powerhouse. 1, 2, 3.
Nice transition.
3 strokes ahead as he transitions. 4 strokes by the time that Michal Dubicki finally got through there. And look at the elation for Marcin Darga, knowing that that is done and dusted on those troublesome moments where just a thread is holding on to the top of that block. So rough. All right, let's take a look at the standing block shot
let's
here.
do it. Okay. Szymon Groenwald, Marcin Darga, Kamil Dubicki. That's the top 3 in this discipline in the standing block chop.
And Szymon with the national record, that is just unbelievable for his first outing as a pro. Amazing, amazing.
And look at the personal bests here at the Polish Pro Championships. These guys really have evolved. These guys are making a progress every single year. And of course, it's time to look at the overall standings after round 1.
So here's where it gets interesting. So you're going to see all of the standing block chop positions loaded in, and then we will see how that switches things around. So as you mentioned, Szymon Groenwald on top with Michal Dubicki and Marcin Darga in 2nd and 3rd places. And then we've got Marcin Dubicki and Kamil Dubicki, Thomas Kowal, Arkadiusz Drozdec made it in 7th, and Christian Kaczmarek in 8th place. So we have our 8 athletes going into the 2nd round. We've eliminated the bottom, the remaining athletes in the bottom. So unfortunately for them, they're out of the competition. But we do now have our 8 athletes moving into round 2, which consists of single buck and springboard.
But Szymon Groenwald, I mean, we just have to mention this. I expected him to do well.
Yeah.
I expected him to be a threat to the top athletes, but having him on top of the board after the first round, that is a surprise for me. I have to honestly say. Full credit, this guy is amazing.
Top of the board, absolutely agree with you. That's surprising, but at the end of the day, it's not all that surprising either. We've seen this kid is just an absolute beast.
It's his first pro competition.
Yeah, especially with our next discipline, because if I remember correctly, I do believe he holds the world record for rookies in the single buck. Let's take a look at the tool and discipline for single buck.
The 2-meter-long cross-cut saw used for the single buck discipline is made especially for competition. A series of consistently patterned 10-centimeter-long teeth are cut with a laser on one side of the saw and then hand-sharpened. Saw teeth are divided into 2 types, cutters and rakers, just like on the old-school saws. The saw weighs about 5 kilos, and its base price starts at around 1,500 euros. Single buck. The single buck is a one-man saw about 2 meters long. With this, the athletes have to cut off a complete disc of a 46-centimeter thick wooden block. The perfect interplay between rhythm and strength is the key to success.
So off we go into round 2. Single buck coming up. Kaczmarek against Drozdec in heat 1. Kowal taking on Dubicki in heat 2. Dubicki against Darga in heat 3. And Dubicki against Groenwald in heat 4. So you absolutely know who's coming up now after we mentioned that. So brilliant.
And the problem is we've got M. Dubicki and M. Dubicki there. So it's Marcin Dubicki and Michal Dubicki. So it's going to get confusing, folks.
Don't worry about it. We'll tell you in time. So it's Christian Kaczmarek against Arkadiusz Drozdec, Tomasz Kowal against Kamil Dubicki in heat 3, Marcin Dubicki against Marcin Darga, and in the final heat, in heat number 4, we'll have Michal Dubicki against Szymon Groenwald. That, of course, is going to be another mighty clash of the titans as we are waiting for our athletes. Take a look at the beautiful scenery. Look at the fans. I love them. You know, it starts to rain. They just, you know, take out their umbrella.
They don't care. They take the umbrellas out, block the view from behind. Come on. They're like the theater goers with the high hair.
Yeah, but that's why everybody keeps moving. That's why everybody keeps moving. But look at the faces of these guys,
Yeah, they're
these
enjoying
fans
themselves.
are fantastic. They've supported every single athlete. And of course, if you want to send us some of your pictures, we've got the hashtag STIHL TIMBERSPORTS and of course hashtag Kiss My Ex. So if you take a picture of Troy and me, please make sure it's the Kiss My Ex hashtag so we can find you.
That's perfect. We should also mention that 16 points are up for grabs for the top athlete in the single buck and the springboard. I mentioned earlier springboard, and I did a bit of a shudder. It's not because I don't think that discipline is cool. It's because the discipline is so difficult to do well. And we'll explain more about that as we get closer to the discipline springboard, but we still have to get through the single buck. Now,
you can also see our social media reporter in this picture.
Oh, yeah.
Here, right on the left, she takes care of Facebook and, of course, Instagram. You can find us. I mean, Tim Batolga, he is a man to watch. You can also find him on Twitch. So this is something that really is everybody should do. I mean,
yeah, everybody needs to get into the social media thing here as well for these guys. Look at the times there for Christian Kaczmarek and Arkadia Strosek. I mean, I cut a single buck with an older saw. It took me 47 seconds or 45 seconds.
40 days.
Like yeah, 40 days. It was brutal. And these guys are doing it in like 15 seconds. It's just incredible how quick. Then you can see a really good view of the shoes that Kaczmarek
but that
is
was
using.
that was a football shoe, right? Adapted with.
I think it was maybe like a shot put or perhaps a shoe that you would use for javelin.
Okay, then it just had the same name as a football shoe I used to wear, but.
Oh, it's very possible they did some adaptations for it, but look at how angry those shoes look.
And spikes on both shoes this time, not just on one like we've seen before.
Well, this is the thing, right? In this particular discipline, that 2-meter-long cross-cut saw, you want to make sure that your push and your draw is nice and clean and even, and you want to be able to use your legs and your hips and your upper body all in synchronicity with one another. It's really important. And these guys want to have synchronized redundancy when they're using that saw out there. They want to make sure that they get a good push, they get good cuts with the cutter teeth on that saw, and they want to make sure that they're sweeping that extra wood and the cut material out of the way. So here we go. And this is where Arkadia Strosek is very strong.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, Christian Kaczmarek getting right in there with quick, long strokes.
Talk
really
about
looking good here. Wow, fantastic rhythm. Barely even made a hop at the start. Arkadia Strosek is a little bit slower today. Kaczmarek with a national record and a season's best 12.84. Fantastic run by Kaczmarek as he got through there
that was
quick.
Brilliant.
So normally what we'll see these guys do is they'll take a couple of short, choppy, quick cuts to get the saw moving, and then they'll go into their long, flowy strokes. Nope, not Christian Kaczmarek.
Why should he?
He went straight into it with long, and his strokes were fast. And that's something you usually don't see very often, but boy.
And again, we're back to stamina, we're back to, you know, the different kinds of practice that are necessary to be able to compete in all these really diverse disciplines.
Actually,
absolutely,
absolutely. But more than anything in this discipline, it's the rhythm.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
So a national record season's best for Christian Kaczmarek. A big congratulations to him, and what an absolute run from that man. Let's see if we can get a nice slow-mo look at it here. Watch, right off the hop. Tip to tail, he was using the entire length of the saw. Oh, you can see Arkadia Strosek got his saw caught at the start and struggled to get it moving. Kaczmarek was just motoring through this, and this is normally a discipline where Arkadia Strosek is very strong, but you can see here a couple of small angle changes, those 10-centimeter long teeth, they just bite into that block and then they hold on. And restarting that thing is a nightmare. Final pull from Kaczmarek and a beautiful time for the season's best national record. A disappointing run for Arkadia Strosek, but I'll tell you what, he's in the mix here right now.
Definitely.
So if anybody gets slower times than 20.10 seconds, then he may well have a chance, as he is currently sitting in top spot, but he's going to get pushed down for that
We've seen
position
it so
for sure.
many times, Troy, on the misery whip.
Yeah, the misery whip is what they call it. That is true.
it can happen so fast, and you know, you just lose 10 to 20 seconds. So I don't think Drostek needs to be too unhappy. Let's wait what the other 3 heats have to show, as we await Tomasz Kowal and Kamil Dubicki.
And I mean, in this discipline as well, you cannot waste any time with your cuts. These guys are all so good. One small hookup, and you've lost yourself, you know, a few seconds in that timing, and then the whole thing can go pear-shaped on you if you start trying to push too hard. Your angles start to change. The saw starts to rock up and down instead of going through the wood straight. So that's a difference maker right there.
I honestly think that's the discipline I would be most scared of.
It's the only discipline I can do.
Yeah, that's probably what makes me scared of it.
But I'll be honest with you, it's like a love-hate relationship. Yeah, it's fun to do. It really is fun to do. But I tell you, once you get in there and you start that adrenaline rush starts to flow and you're cutting that block, it's a bit addicting. And then when you finally see that you've got some good flow and you're getting in there in the block, it's really a rush. I can't tell you other than to say that it's a bit like, you know, drinking a really high caffeine beverage and then going, ha, I'm ready to go, let's go, come on, let's have some fun. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
I've got a picture in my head of you dancing now, but let's take a closer look at
Nobody needs to see that.
That's heat number 2. It's Tomasz Kowal and Kamil Dubicki coming up now, but you know, you can fuck up a dance, but you can really have a great rhythm and you can really have a stride. So maybe this is a bit like like in this discipline. Once you've got the rhythm, once you feel the whole thing working, it can be so nice.
Yeah, as long as you don't step on your partner's feet, you're good to go.
Yeah.
You can see here Bart Janssen and Andrew Hall checking the depth of the set cut, and these guys will, some of them will lift the saw out and put it in upside down just to do a couple of practice strokes. It also helps clear any of the excess material that's in there, and you could just see right there.
Okay, gentlemen.
Dubicki just did a
Athletes,
tooth
ready.
count to make sure that he's in exactly the right position. There's so much routine for these guys.
3,
Here we go.
2, 1, go!
And very different positions on the saw.
That's primarily due to the height of the guys. So we saw that Tomasz Kowal is a little bit taller than Kamil Dubicki. Both of them looking good there. You can see knuckles to tip for each of these guys as they cut through really efficiently long cuts. Oh, Dubicki having a little bit of a problem there. But he still gets a personal best 19.29. Kowal with a 21.90. 2 personal best on stage for single buck for these guys. Great job.
So this round really kicking off great. Look at the fist. That's a beautiful mixture of exhaustion and happiness. So Kaczmarek still with his national record, the fastest man in this display.
Congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Dubicki with a 19.07 in position 2 now. Drostek in 3rd and Kowal in 4th place after the first 2 heats in this discipline. As we are getting ready for Marcin Dubicki and Marcin Darga in our 3rd heat. But that's beautiful slow motions that we're getting delivered from our camera team.
Yeah, that's a great shot right there. You could see that tip of the saw disappears into the cookie, and right there you see a little bit of a stick, but he still managed to get himself a personal best under 20 seconds, so a really great job there.
Yep, this is what it looks like at this very moment here in Poznan. Big mix, not only of emotions, but also of rain. And let's call it sunshine. We did have some sunshine. So Dubicki versus Darga. 103 Ks against 110. And like you mentioned before a number of times, it's not just about the muscle, it's not just about the power. It's very much about technique and finding your rhythm, finding your stride. And that's why all this preparation, you know, seems to be a bit longer than in any other discipline.
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber.
I now felt Darga was a bit late on his preparation. Let's hope he gets off to a good start.
So
yes, he does.
This is really typical here for Dubicki. He starts off with those short cuts and then just gets into the rhythm. Darga, he tried to get that thing going with a big, long stroke to get things set, and he's looking pretty good here, but Dubicki's a little bit faster, 14.97 and a personal best. Darga with a 17.43 personal best. Great improvement across the board, so nicely done.
So we've seen 6 athletes and 5 personal bests. Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, that'll do.
Talk about progress, development.
With a great time personal best there, and yeah, Marcin Darga right now sitting in 3rd place in single buck.
I mean, these athletes have not been here for 2 or 3 years. You know, they've been doing this
congratulations.
Intense sport for quite some time, and they are still making progress.
Yeah.
You know, unbelievable. That's fantastic to see.
Marcin Dubicki with the 2nd fastest time of the day, but nobody's come close to Christian Karsmarek and his national record of 12:59. But
maybe now.
Michal Dubicki and Szymon Groenwald are still yet to come, so we'll see. Now you can see here, Darga isn't really using the saw 100% efficiently, but you know what? It did really seem to bother him. A couple of sticky spots there. As he started to change the angle, you could see he was struggling a little bit in the last few strokes of the cuts as he was really pushing hard to try and get through there, using all the power he possibly could in those big arms of his and that upper body. And he managed to do it. He got himself a good time, but this is definitely not his discipline.
And immediately he took a look at the big clock, trying to find out how many points he might have collected to take to the next round.
Well, right now, Marcin Darga is holding on to 12 points, but Michal Dubicki and Szymon Groenwald are up next. Now, as I mentioned, Szymon Groenwald has the world record as a rookie, but he will get a personal best here no matter what time he locks down today, because he is a freshly minted pro. And he's also showed that as a freshly minted pro, he is not holding back at all. He is putting the pressure on all of these guys that have had experience and been pros for a few years. And here comes Michal Dubicki.
That was a late arrival from Dubicki, because
Very late arrival.
Szymon already, you know, placing his saw.
Well, I think there might be a little bit of tactical
I think so.
mind games going on here, you know. Szymon out there on stage, he's ready to go, he wants to go, he's pumped, he's absolutely ready to hop onto it, and Michal Dubicki, he knows what's going on out there. He wants to come out and settle into his pace, and it's kind of like a hockey game where the team slows down the pace against the other team and tries to control the game. I think that's kind of like what Michal Dubicki is doing here.
But Szymon seemed so focused. There was the look.
There was a little bit of a nervous look right there, but he's so good in this discipline. He's so good in this discipline.
Okay,
I hope I don't jinx him here.
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Look at that, right away with those beautiful long strokes from both of these guys. Michal Dubicki, Szymon Groenwald
that is
going for it. Oh no! A huge breakaway for Szymon Groenwald. He put a little bit too much effort into it. He's got to go back and cut that piece off to make sure it's fair. That is going to be a time killer for him. He'll get this personal best. It's 20.11. But what happened there is he was just putting a little bit too much into it. The whole saw locked up on the drive-through, and it bent and it broke off a huge piece of the cookie. Now, it can be considered fair as long as it is complete. So it looks like he'll be okay here. But that was a really rough one for him.
In slow motion. Oh my word.
Absolutely. Such a good athlete though, and it was just a little bit too much excitement for Szymon Groenwald there. But he's got himself a solid time of 19.91, a personal best as a new
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
So,
wow.
and with all of that talk, we forgot to mention that Michal Dubicki's got himself a national record season's best. So he's again moved to the top of the leaderboard in the discipline with an absolutely fantastic time of 12.32 seconds.
So the time has been upgraded and we have seen a new national record.
So a lot of action going on here today. You can see there that saw bowed so massively, and then he had to reset the saw in place, and that is a beast to position properly. It takes away so much time, then has to reset, recut, and get the last bit of the cookie. But in Szymon Groenwald's credit, he remained calm. He didn't panic or freak out, and he did what he needed to do in order to get the points on the board, so he didn't get a DQ. And that was an experienced bit of action right there. Great job by Szymon Groenwald, though, to maintain composure in that one. And so let's take a look at the rankings in single buck there.
So, Michal Dubicki right up on top with the national record. We've got Christian Kaczmarek in second, Marcin Dubicki, Marcin Darga, Kamil Dubicki, Szymon Groenwald, Arkadiusz Drosztek, and Tomasz Kowal in the single buck ranking.
Now let's take a look what happens in the overall standings. Now look at the points here. Michal Dubicki, 46 points. That means Szymon Groenwald, Marcin Darga, and Marcin Dubicki are sitting there with 38, 37, and 35 respectively. So they're all well down below in the points as far as Michal Dubicki is concerned. But what a great job by Szymon Groenwald to maintain his composure and get some points in the bucket with 38, sitting in second place in the overall rankings. So that's amazing and a great job, and we're joined in studio by a special guest if we come back to the studio momentarily as we have a quick look at the stage there where they're setting up our Springboard. Spike, welcome in-house, my friend. How are you?
Global Sports Director.
Already good. I mean, what a great
wait a minute. Something's not working here.
It should be switched on, yeah?
There we go.
technical details.
It's all about them, isn't it?
You know, what a great event. Superb location, and the competition is super hot.
Yeah, it's very hot, isn't it? Now, we wanted to ask you really briefly about the event that we saw in Rotterdam. Just run us through that event and the kinds of things that we saw and what was exciting for you at that World Trophy.
Oh, the thing for us, it gauges where all the athletes are in the world, and what a fantastic event. I mean, it had everything, didn't it?
Yeah, it really did.
And the development that STIHL Timbersports, has had over the last few years, we can see it now with Szymon Groenwald, really performing so well with the pros. That must be something that makes you really happy because you've been part of this development of the past few years.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's all about the team effort, and the rookie academy and the development is it just coming to full light now. And you'll see today, tomorrow, the harvesting the fruit now. We said last year, how professional these young athletes are. They're so motivated to be at the top. And just look at this young fella here. It's an inspiration to all young people in sport. Go out and put the dedication in, and you'll get there.
You've been involved in the Rookie Academy, which is an event that happens every year for the rookies in the sport to come and learn how to be a pro or how to develop their sport. Did you see this coming with Szymon Groenwald, or was it a bit of a surprise? Give us your 2 cents on this one.
Yeah, absolutely no surprise at all. And there are a number of athletes here in Europe that we can see their potential. There's still a little bit of fine-tuning to do with the guys, and they know exactly what that is. But trust me, these young Europeans are really developing. And, another season, well, things are going to change a huge amount again.
And a big one coming up tomorrow with the European Trophy. Is that something you're looking forward to?
Oh, majorly, because, we're gauging these guys now, and some of these guys are up at that level. They are at the pro level now, and I would be very surprised if at least 1 or 2 of them aren't in that top 8.
Well, the World Trophy you talked about, Troy, is something that we can take a closer look at, just so people at home know what to expect from tomorrow's European Trophy. Yes. And that's a beautiful one to watch. Hope you're going to stay with us to see those wonderful pictures.
Absolutely. Thanks, gents.
This is the World Trophy 2023. Welcome to Rotterdam, the Netherlands. All of you, thank you for dropping by. If you're really into massive superstar athletes smashing stuff, you are absolutely in the right place.
So here we go with our round of 16 heat list.
And we're ready for the first heat. This is it. It's the big one, everybody. We've waited a year for this.
A good start is critical here.
Arcing quick there.
Yeah, he's got a nice cut. Should be through fairly quickly as he swings through and heads over to the single buck. No, and Jordan keeping things nice and calm as he steps towards the standing block drop. That was a massive skip, though, for Jordan on his first driver. Hopefully that didn't mess his headspace. But he's done it. He's got 1:18.72 is his time. One more. There you go, buddy.
Good man, son. Well done. A time of 1:43.64.
Jack had a good run. Laid some hits in. Good to the single buck and standing. I just lost my endurance. So.
Klima in white and red on the left. O'Toole in green on the right.
Klima with that stock saw. He's staying right with O'Toole, dead even.
But rolling all the way across the stage.
He was very, very slow and broke for stroke with Lawrence O'Toole. O'Toole is through. Matjas Klima is through. They're moving over to the single buck now. Yeah, you can see the difference right there. O'Toole, distinct advantage on the single buck. He's so strong in that discipline, but it's going to be O'Toole with a fantastic run as he did a great job. Yes, we are.
Here we go, Lens Pubaré.
He moves over to the other side just ahead of Lens. He's going to make Lens work for it today. Side right now.
Very close.
Oh, look at this.
Very
it's dead
close.
even as they head over to a discipline where both of them are strong. These guys are cutting here. It's Pubaré with an advantage now. Lens is over to the other side of his block already. He might make it short work of this one here as Pubaré almost done it, but Lens has done it. Good start for Hansen. Ollie is so good on the underhand, and now he's got to move over to that single buck and
big
be
lead.
fast. Hansen with a huge lead now as he'll get that piece off, but Hansen's got a loose block, and Hansen's done it. A couple of small adjustments need to be made by him, and it's a 1:15.62 for Ollie Reinhardt. Very nice. You can see the different styles. Dubicki sitting really flat. Kugler a bit more of an angle. Dubicki did, however, take a step down and moved over to the single buck, but this one's all Dubicki at the moment. One or two drivers more for Dubicki, and there it goes.
Good job, 1:16 for Kugler.
Ein bisschen was zu erwarten war. Michal Dubicki ist in einer unglaublichen Form. Er hat einfach abgeliefert.
Groenwald up against Martens.
Also right there as the two of them head over to the underhand chop. That caused them big problems to get it out of there. And Martins moved to the second side, and his is going to take a miracle, but it's Szymon Groenwald with the win in this.
This is the second last heat. It's heat 7. It is the wunderkind from Sweden, Ferry Svan, going out against the very experienced Guillaume Mauer.
Guillaume Moore right there with him though, Guillaume.
He will go through to the quarterfinals. The final heat is Redmond Knoll, the local boy, going against Danny Martin from just across the border.
He's an absolute expert in the motor saws, so he should be really clean through. Nice job by Martin, nice job by Redmond Knoll as well to move over to the underhand chop. Now, moving to the standing block chop, this could be very close as Redmond Knoll pushing off of that back leg that's injured. It looks like it's wiggling and waggling, and there it goes for Redmond Knoll. Knoll wins it, moving on to the next round. Unbelievable.
Ein paar kleine Fehler gewesen und am Ende waren 2-3 Sekunden, die ich leider hinter ihm lag.
So we can now see the competition tree, and we can see how the quarterfinals will be filled. They will consist of Jordan versus O'Toole. Ooh, an Antipodean lineup there. Going up against Lenz and Hansson in quarterfinal 2. Dubicki and Groenwald will make up an all-Poland quarterfinal 3, and Ferry Svan going up against local boy Knoll in quarterfinal 4. Ooh, there's a couple of very interesting ties there, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, there's been it seems like there's a collision course between Jack Jordan and Jason Lenz, depending if they get through their heat here, but it is going to be a monumental battle between two absolute masters.
Here we go.
O'Toole's
a little bit faster.
Just a hair. Oh, and Jordan misses his axe. That's going to be a problem for him. O'Toole's like a half stroke ahead of Jordan.
Oh,
but
Jordan's
no,
caught
it's
up
not
and
the
taken
way.
over now.
Jordan's moved over to the single buck ahead of O'Toole. Wants to get through there and move to the standing block chop now. He's good in all these disciplines, moving over to the second side of his block. Will he be able to catch up with Jack Jordan? No.
Jordan does it, there
Jordan's
it is.
managed to get below a minute, and he's managed to eliminate one of the masters of the sport.
Probably not my best there, but Jack's a top-notch competitor. It's pretty hard coming up against him so early in the competition.
It is time for the next heat of the quarterfinal, and that is the American on the right-hand side of your screens, going up against the powerhouse from Sweden, Emil Hansson.
Lenz has got a big, thick, fat cookie
Big,
there.
fat cookie there.
Yeah, but you know what? He wants that, and he does that on purpose because he wants to make sure that he's got a thin cookie for the single buck.
Ah, okay.
And Emil Hansson right there. Lenz getting through there first, is it? No, it's going to be
down for
Hansson.
Hansson.
Oh! It was Hansson, but he put a foot down. See one here.
Be close.
Hansson needs to get far as he possibly can. They're both right next to each other. And will it be Jason Lenz? It's going to be a real tight one. Oh my God!
One hit!
It's one hit difference between the two, with Jason Lenz just taking it.
Close.
Holy
It cannot
smokes,
get any
folks.
closer than that.
Unbelievable.
Ja, det var ganska tufft. Det är tufft motstånd jag hade där mot Jason Lenz. Jag har haft lite strul i försäsongen med sjukdom, och så jag känner att styrkan inte riktigt var där. Jag var trött inför det race i armarna.
Good start by both of them, but it looks like Jacek Groenwald a little bit faster. Their frequency is almost match for match on point. Dubicki, oh, big hook up for him as he breaks that off. Did he get the whole cookie? I certainly hope so. I don't want to have this on my head.
The all-Polish duel here is won by
Oh,
Dubicki
there it is,
with a time
Dubicki.
of 103.96.
Ostatni hit był bardzo ciężki. Rąbałem z Michałem, fajnie mi się rąbało, ale było ciężko. Ale lepszy wygrywa. Takie są te zawody.
The last quarterfinal, people. This is Sweden versus Holland. This is Knoll Svan.
Oh, a bit of a rough start by Ferry Svan there. Swan is...
What's going on here?
What's happening? Oh, he didn't turn off his saw. That's a huge problem for Ferry Swan.
It's going to be close, I'm telling you.
I think it's going to be Knoll, but it's anybody's guess at this point, as that's Waggle, and it's going to be Red Buck Knoll! Knoll has done it! Knoll has done it! He's moved through to the semi-final. His best result ever, no matter what happens.
Nej, men jag glömde inte, men jag missade att stänga av Stockson, och det var det som gjorde resten då.
He chose to describe it was hard.
Yeah.
What is also hard is to go from the semi-final to the final. Only 4 have the chance left. That will be Jordan or Lenz in semi-final 1, and it might even be Dubicki or Knoll in semi-final 2. Anything could happen, and remember, the loser. We're going to see two giants of the game go up against each other here in the semi-finals of the World Trophy. This is Jack Jordan from New Zealand and Jason Lenz from the United States.
Ooh, good start by Jason Lenz, and they're both through to the underhand chop, dead even with each other. Is it going to be Jordan? It is. Jack Jordan moving over to the single buck ahead of Jason Lenz. Jason Lenz got a bit of a struggle there on those last few drivers. Cookie's done it. Standing on to the standing block chop. Jason Lenz This is his discipline. Will he be able to catch up with Jack Jordan?
On the other side.
Look at the wood fly. Lenz is absolutely destroying this block. As he moves over to the other side, it's going to be Jack Jordan with a couple more drivers.
There it is,
and there it is, Jack Jordan. That's a disappointing finish for the man that was in the final last
wouldn't
year.
Have expected that.
Not expected at all from an absolute powerhouse talent.
To do what it takes.
Oh, that could be a problem for Dubicki. He had his hand on his saw. Red McNull first over to the underhand chop now. He's again not letting him get away.
Huge chunks coming out there.
This is called playing up, folks. Red McNull about a step and a half behind Dubicki. The misery whips are at work for these guys.
Great
it's now
movement from
Dubicki over to the standing block chop. Knoll's in a bit of trouble here now. Dubicki's got that thing wiggling and waggling. Dubicki should have it here. He got a big axe stuck in there.
Dubicki's
He's got
through.
it.
Beautiful finish. Well done, sir. A time of 1:27.10 for Red McNull.
All right, then the winner is Michal Dubicki.
There it is. So we were mistaken. Everything was above board. Great performance today from the local boy. He's made it into the small final. We are ready to go back under the stage for the small final. Here we go.
So Red McNull in the orange on your right. Jason Lenz in the red on the left. Good start by both of these guys on that stock saw. Bang on that first driver for Red McNull. He's right there with him. Looks like Jason Lenz is through.
Lenz is through.
And he's on to the single buck, taking his time now. Knoll a couple of steps behind as he moves over to the single buck. Single buck is a bit of a troublesome start for Knoll. Very, very slow at the bottom end here. Stepping over to the standing block chop, and you can see he is gutted his
He
block.
doesn't look fresh either.
He can barely hold on to that axe, and it's Jason Lenz taking the bronze medal here today. And there you go, Red McNull, the fourth place at the weekend here with a fantastic result.
Nou, kijk, het is hier de top van de wereld en ik draai eigenlijk pas net mee. Dus als je gaat voor top 10, dan probeer je dat. En dan probeer je een ronde verder te komen, misschien een tweede ronde. Ja, en dan wil je alles voor die 2 rondes geven. En ja, dan heb je alles gegeven voor die 2 rondes, maar dan moet je nog een keer een ronde. En die win je dan ook. En dan moet je nog een keer een ronde. Ja, en dan lig je er wel uit. Maar...
This is the final of the 2023 World Trophy. This is Jordan Dubicki. Here we go.
Great start by both of these guys, getting into a clean cut. Dubicki's making that cookie for that
Just
single
a touch
buck,
ahead,
a
Jordan.
little bit thin. It's going to be troublesome for him, I think. And
Oh,
here we
look at
go.
the speed.
The Dubicki speed is at work here. He's going to switch over to the other side any second now. He's there.
Oh,
Jack
that's
Jordan's right
demolishing
there
it.
with him. Jack Jordan not as fast on the underhand chop, but he's got the power there. Is Dubicki going to get through? He's going to get through right
it couldn't be
with Dubicki.
closer.
It's very, very close. It's going to be a scary single buck for Dubicki because his stock
big hook
saw
there for Jack.
was very, very close to cutting close to his single buck saw. Now it's
Dubicki
Jack
is
Jordan
slightly
over
ahead.
there. It's going to come down to this discipline right here. Who's got the power and the drivers? Both of them going over to the other side.
This
a little
could
bit of
not
a
be
slip by
closer.
Jack Jordan. It's going to be an incredibly close race here, right down to the wire.
There it is,
It's Jack
Jordan!
Jordan!
There it is!
Unbelievable, Dubicki. A half a stroke back from Jack Jordan.
Unreal, really tough competition today. Everyone was out there pushing me all the way to the end there. I felt like I was chasing the game a bit, so to come away with a win like that at the end, yeah, unreal feeling. It's great to win it back to back, especially after winning it once. You sort of get a feeling of how hard it actually is, so to come back here and win it again is excellent, yeah.
He won the STIHL TIMBERSPORTS World Trophy in 2022 and he's done it again. He has regained his title. Please give it up for the champion, from the man from New Zealand, Mr. Jack Jordan!
There's still some wild out there. But to look for it, you need something that can look adventure in the eye. Something built wild. You need a Bronco.
Big smiles in the studio. Oliver
Yes.
Reinhardt's in the house.
Welcome, Wally.
Hi, how's it going?
Man, a few words. Listen, you just competed for your second World Trophy in Rotterdam. Your first World Trophy was a bit of a misnomer because you nearly chopped a finger off. Talk a little bit about that first, and then talk about your experience at the latest World Trophy in Rotterdam.
Yeah, well, we had the Rookies World Championships there, and I got into the trophy after that the next day. I was kind of naked, and I didn't really pay attention, cut my finger on the underhand, and that was sort of over for me. Felt very sad to really let that opportunity go, and I was happy to go back in Rotterdam and compete there again.
What's it like for you to step up on stage? Because it's not that long ago that yourself was a rookie. What's it like for you to step up on stage, and what must Szymon Groenwald be thinking today, being a pro up on stage with these guys as, you know, a pro and getting to compete with the big names that you've been watching for so long?
Oh, you know, it's definitely a bit of weight on your shoulders with being a rookie. The guys, they just say, oh, you know, he's just a rookie. You have to prove yourself. There's quite some weight on your shoulders. And I think Szymon has done exceptionally well this time.
All right.
So let me jump in, Ollie. I mean, you're here for a reason because you're going to be competing tomorrow. What have you seen today that you can take over for tomorrow, except for the crowd being absolutely fantastic? It's raining at the moment.
Dumping.
We have a thunderstorm, and they are still supporting all the athletes. But what's your goal for tomorrow?
Goal for tomorrow is definitely to be under the top 10 athletes competing, and we'll see how far we go. The lineup is pretty strong, and I'll give it my best.
I would say the lineup is amazingly strong, but you seem extremely fit. It's not too long that we've seen each other in Rotterdam, but I feel like you've gained some extra muscles. Have you had a secret training here in Poland, maybe?
I did have a little sneaky week with Michal Dubicki, where he told me all his secrets, and it was real good. Got trained real hard, got fed well, and now I'm pretty ready.
So it looks like he's very ready to try.
Looks like he's very ready. Now, you mentioned that you've trained with Michal Dubicki. Is the whole crew there training like mad? Because, I mean, the Dubickis just, it seems like they're on fire, the whole gang, as you had a chance to train with him. Tell us a little bit about the things that you're training and maybe any techniques that he might have passed on to you. And do you think he's holding anything back to maybe give himself a little bit of advantage when he might have to go up against you?
Well, definitely not holding anything back. He just says the harder you go, the better you'll be, and to push through, that's all he says. He pushed me real hard. We had knotty wood. We trained with shitty axes to really push ourselves, get to these get that endurance that you need for that minute of trophy. And now I think I'm quite ready to do it on the good wood.
Well, in the trophy format, you don't have the springboards. Ollie, we're going to move on to the springboard now. What do our athletes have to look out for especially? What's the secret behind the springboard? Because that's one of the most difficult disciplines in the business.
I think best there is to keep calm, cool, and collected, the 3 C's. Otherwise, if you bugger up the pocket, you're going to end up having a shit all the time. And yeah, that's all there is, just stay calm.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to check out the springboard discipline shortly. Ollie Reinhardt, formerly a rookie, now a pro, looking to represent Switzerland and is the future of Swiss timber sports. Thank you very much for joining us here today. Appreciate having you here. Let's take a quick look at something that happened at the World Championships back in 2016, I believe it was. It was an absolutely incredible world record for springboard that it's been a tough one to get close to, and we've been debating about whether or not anybody will be able to break that anytime soon. Maybe today? Let's see.
3, 2, 1, go!
That was perfect.
That was perfect. It doesn't get any better than that.
I cannot imagine anyone,
beating this time.
I was there for that. I nearly wet my pants when I watched it. I saw him climb up that thing like he was a cat running away from a dog, and then he cut the top of that block off like it was made of sponge. I mean, it was an unbelievable effort from Sterling Hart, and it's hard to imagine that anybody is going to be able to beat that time of just over 35 seconds. I mean, it's bananas.
But many of our predictions have not come true.
No.
So maybe, you know, just maybe we're going to see a new record in Stuttgart, maybe today. But for now, we're going to show you everything you need to know about the discipline springboard.
Springboard. Springboard simulates the traditional way of felling trees, climbing up over thick roots. First, notches known as pockets are chopped into the log. 2 springboards are then anchored into these pockets. The athlete then climbs up to chop through a 27-centimeter thick block of wood in the fastest time possible.
We have just been told we are not sure if our athletes are able to come out this very moment because the weather is not too good at the moment. So
it's pouring out there. I mean, we had some thunder and lightning, and there's a huge metal stage that we've got, so we kind of want to make sure that the safety of the athletes is a bit paramount here. So this is something that we have to keep a little bit of a headspace for. You can see here, people are hunkering under tarps and whatever they can possibly hide under. You can see it's absolutely raining down cats and dogs, and most of the athletes are either undercover somewhere. You can see when they end up on camera, they are enjoying themselves underneath the STIHL TimberSports banner.
And nobody wants to go home. That's great to see. You know, everybody's staying. They're just trying to find some shelter, which is not that easy. You know?
Yeah, this is the thing. Now, we're talking about the springboard, and you can see there's a lot of moisture on that deck. And this is a very, very important aspect for these guys to make sure that that deck is safe. Remember, we're talking about a razor-sharp instrument. They've got to cut a pocket. They've got to set the board like we saw in the tool and discipline. Then they've got to cut a second pocket standing atop the first board and set a second board. Then they got to crawl up on that second board about 2 meters off the ground and start to cut through that top block. So if anything goes pear-shaped there, if they slip on that first pocket and fall down, the axe can really cause problems. So we got to make sure that these guys are as safe as possible. It's also really important for us to make sure that we can continue with the competition here, because this is the last discipline before we cut the heats or cut the amount of athletes down to just 6 guys. So there's a lot to be thought about here before they step out on stage for this discipline, and here we go.
Oh, wow. Our team and our crew says everything is ready to go. So we've got Christian Kaczmarek against Arkadiusz Drozdek competing in the first heat. Tomasz Kowal and Kamil Dubicki in heat number 2, Marcin Dubicki and Marcin Darga in heat 3, and finally in heat number 4, Michal Dubicki and Szymon Groenwald. But for now, full focus on Christian Kaczmarek and Arkadiusz Drozdek, waving to the crowd, enjoying this special atmosphere. I mean, this is something you have to say. This is not the usual kind of thing you have. This is very special.
True. You don't see this very often, and you're never going to see so many people on stage at any given time for a discipline as you're seeing right now. As we see flashes of lightning in the background, I really hope this goes well, as the stage has been cleared of everybody else and gone under the protection of the athletes' tent as we get ready to allow Christian Kaczmarek and Arkadiusz Drozdek to start working on their blocks. There is some discussion with our referees on stage, so we will hopefully find out shortly if we will continue, as Christian and Arkadiusz have a chat with each other there. So again, mentioning the fact that we do have thunder and lightning. Lightning is the key point here. It's a giant metal stage. You know, everything is definitely grounded, so it's not really an issue. The guys will be safe out there, but just as an extra measure of safety, if our judging crew deems that they will need to clear the stage for ultimate safety of the athletes, they will do that. So,
and also if there's water on stage, as I have just heard, it looks like the stage will be cleared before we continue. Of course, we're going to update everybody back home what is going to be happening over the next few minutes. But of course, just like you mentioned, Troy, safety is the most important issue. And we want to make sure that our athletes, our viewers, everybody in the audience, and of course the whole team taking part here at the STIHL Timbersports Polish National Championships is safe. Yeah, I'll try and find out what's going to be happening.
We're going to keep you updated as we go along. We should also mention, too, that after the competition is done here, there will be also the U.S. national competition going on. So we'll keep you updated on that as well, and perhaps even throw over to the U.S. Nationals if you want to continue watching STIHL Timbersports after the fact. And you can see here there are towels coming out on stage to make sure that we get some of the area around these blocks that they need to work on dried up and very, very safe.
Yep, that's what I've just been told. Everything seems to be safe. We will be able to continue. We just need to make sure that the area around our wood is dry enough for the athletes, for them not having the issue of slipping and hurting or injuring themselves. But apart from that, we are set and ready to go. But our judges just want to make sure that the area where our athletes are going to be standing is dry enough and safe enough. And it looks like we're very close to the moment that we can start. We've just seen Bart Jansen giving his thumbs up. We've heard the whistle.
Okay,
so
gentlemen.
ready to go for Christian Kaczmarek against Arkadiusz Drozdek. Heat number one in the Springboard.
2, 1. Here we go. So looking for a clean pocket to get a solid board position there. Is that Drozdek? No, that's Kaczmarek there. He's got 6 hits for his pocket. It's got a bit of a saggy board right away. When the weight gets on there, that's going to not bite so well. So he wants to make sure that second pocket is super clean. Arkadiusz Drozdek, on the other hand, has got a really nice first pocket and board. And this is the least of our concern here. You want to make sure that second board and pocket is absolutely perfect. A little bit of house cleaning there. He'll set the axe and now set the board. Now that metal tooth that's on the front of the board has to bite in when he applies pressure of his body weight on there and gets up there. Optimal would be a little bit of an angle. It's okay to have a flat board, but look at these. Both these guys have real nice boards up there. Neither one of them really using the full length of the board to their advantage. As you see, their back feet are about 30 centimeters in from the back of the board. And that's going to mean that they're going to be using more of their upper body to make the cuts on those drivers than they are using their back leg to push through the hips and really get some power into the board. Now Kaczmarek looking very good. He's got that upper body power, and he's got that extra little bit of weight up top there as well that's going to help him. He'll switch to the awkward angle backside now, but Drozdek has done the same thing. A couple of flat cuts by Drozdek there. It could be very close between both these guys. They do have a time limit, and there it goes for Drozdek and Kaczmarek. Wait, no, excuse me, Kaczmarek. Drozdek struggling to get through that second side. Should be there any second now as he's getting in deep on those final awkward cuts on the backside. I think maybe he might have gone there a bit too early, as we don't normally see the guys cutting in straight and flat on that backside.
But he's getting there.
And now he's finally got it at 1:47.09. So neither of these guys really getting the time that they had hoped for. And I think at this point, we're not going to see many guys really pushing the limits of their abilities in the Springboard. They just want to make sure they get there in a time under the time limit of 2 minutes 30 seconds and make sure they get some points on the board, because under the current weather conditions, it's not going to really be optimal for these guys.
But just listen to the crowd. They're still having a great time. It is really not easy to find a spot here where you don't get wet, but they don't mind.
Both cuts are good.
All right, so both times will count. Arkadiusz Drozdek and Christian Kaczmarek have them locked and loaded. Remember, in this last discipline, we're only taking the top 6 athletes with the top 6 points. You can see how critical these pockets are for placing the boards and making sure that the tooth bites into the board. Kaczmarek's first board, not so great. His second board, though, was very nice. Arkadiusz Drozdek, the master, just making sure he's got himself a good position. And both these guys had excellent top boards. You can see they're parallel to the ground, slight up angle perhaps, and they were able to really utilize the boards, although they didn't as much as I thought they could have.
It's great to see how focused these guys are in that, what is it, like about 2 meters of height.
Yeah, 2 meters up. You don't want to make a mess with that axe in your hand and fall down.
Absolutely.
Look how relaxed they are up on top of those boards, though. When you really think about it, you know, there's so many things that can go pear-shaped up there, and you know, these guys have such good routines when it comes to this stuff, and our next heat getting ready to come out.
Tomasz Kowal against Kamil Dubicki. Very similar personal bests. Again, that's what I'm always looking for. That's what I think makes the competition even more interesting. And this is, of course, something very unusual, not only being able to compete in the Springboard, which is not something you do every day, but also under these very difficult conditions. But both athletes seem very focused, getting their springboards into position. Our judges giving all the support that's possible. Again, checking if there's not too much water here on the ground on our stage.
Very many of these decisions will be, you know, a combination of the athletes giving their opinions on the situation, and also as well our referees on stage making a call of safety.
Timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Tomasz Kowal on the left-hand side, setting his first few drivers and trying to get his pocket set. Nice, about 6 hits there, and he just does a little house cleaning as well as he gets that first board in. Again, there's a little bit of a sag, but not the end of the world. Interesting position that he's using to cut those. It almost looks like his hand positions are mixed. He should have the other hand on the inside. Kamil Dubicki on that first board had problems. Now he's really taking the time. It's going to cause problems. This is the biggest issue here for most of these guys, is making sure that you get that pocket set properly. If you get the pocket set properly, and you could see there, Kowal's, he's testing his board, but it's sagging way too much. He's going to need to go back and reset that.
But he doesn't.
He just doesn't have the stability that he needs, and these guys are both edging up on the 1 minute mark. Kowal doesn't want to risk it. He's going to go for it to try and work that top block, but you can see what's happening already. He's got to step forward on the board because there's no stability for him. Kamil Dubicki still trying to set that second pocket. The problem he's got now, though, is he's going to have to get back down off of his first board, pick up the second board, get back up and place it. And now we're getting to the 120 mark here. Remember, these guys have 2 minutes, 30 seconds to make this happen. And then if they go past that time, you're talking about a disqualification for exceeded time limit. Now, Kowal, he's opted to go back down onto his first board and recut that pocket. And you see Kamil Dubicki has gone down to pick up and reset his board in position. And now he's got to get back up, place that board. And it's a problem for both of these guys. Those pockets were just not working, and this is all about the experience of making
second
sure.
pocket now looks awesome.
Yeah, he's still got a bit of sag, not nearly as bad as it was on. Sorry, excuse me, Kowal's still got sag on his board, but Dubicki's he's got a really, actually a very good board there. So now he's got the advantage, but at this point, you're looking at 2:15, and the time is going to run out on them at 2:30. So they've got to really get through there in an amazingly quick time, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen here for either of these guys. And you can see Dubicki's already exhausted, tired, as they come to the time limit. And that is it. Disqualification for Tomasz Kowal and Kamil Dubicki, and that's an unfortunate situation, but this is the experience in the Springboard, and what we talk about so often is making sure you get those pockets set quickly and those boards in so that you've got a good stable position and can make your cuts up top as quickly and as efficiently as possible.
This is such a brutal discipline.
It is a brutal discipline.
And it seems like once you get off to a bad start, it just kills you.
Yeah, it's so true, and you can see the discussions that are happening there with Bart Janssen, with Tomasz Kowal. And it's an unfortunate circumstance that these guys get disqualified, but we're going to take a look back at the slow-mo at what happened here. And you need to have a good solid board to cut at the top block. if you don't have those good solid boards up top, then you're going to really be in trouble because you have to step forward on the board, your stability is gone, and you're using the entire upper body to make the cuts, and there's just no power there. And also a very interesting, look at the hand position of Koval. For me, that's completely backwards. I would want to have my left hand, in this case, on the bottom of the axe, but maybe he feels more comfortable with the hand placement in order to make those pocket cuts. But both of these guys, you could see it was the pockets was the problem. And right there, you could see Michal Dubicki, he hit his board with the axe, and it could be that he hit the top of the board where the tooth is, which could chip that blade on the axe and also takes away some of the cutting power. And here, gingerly testing that board for Thomas Koval, went back, tried to reset the pocket, didn't really have a very clean second pocket, and at this point, it's a moot point for both of these guys as they get towards that 2-minute 30-second mark, and there's just no power left at all for either of them as they quickly look at the clock, and then the siren goes to let them know that it is DQ for exceeded the time limit. So
I'm
unfortunate
getting
for both these
exhausted
guys.
just watching these guys, you know. It's such a big fight, you know, it's a fight against the log, it's a fight against your springboard, it's a fight against the pocket, and you forget to take out some of the excess stuff, and you start sagging, you drop your second springboard, you have to jump down again, and everything is just working on you, killing you, making it so much harder.
It's true. I mean, we say that the hot saw is the maker or the breaker, but to be really honest with you, this is the discipline that you have to be good at in order to make it into the hot saw. And for me, this is almost more the maker or breaker than the hot saw is, because it's
do or die,
such a do or die, and you can't be halfway with this discipline. You have to be proficient, accurate, you have to have the stamina, and then once you're up on that 2-meter high board, you've got to have the headspace to be able to cut through there in a time that keeps you under the 2-minute 30 and hopefully gets you a fast enough time to get you the points. It's really, really, really one of the most difficult disciplines as far as all of the disciplines, because you've got so many things going on here.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
And if you want to feel the championship atmosphere, you have to be good at the springboard, because that's the only way for you to be able to get that feeling, to feel this atmosphere and what it could be like for you watching it on TV. Well, we'll show you right now.
It comes down to Mitch Argent and Shane Jordan battling hard on the standing block. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Australia or New Zealand? Oh my God, how close is this? And it's Australia!
The atmosphere last night and the team's relay was unreal.
That is their title of Team World Champion. 2 years in a row.
Oh, definitely. It'd be the noisiest crowd I've competed against.
Shane Jordan's already over there.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of getting goosebumps thinking about it right now.
The crowds here, they were just erupting.
You feel the energy of the crowd.
My goodness, what a great comeback from Belgium with a time of 1.
The crowd was absolutely electric.
And it was so much noise and support.
Ja, doch, das pusht schon rum und mein Fanclub ist auch da.
Very passionate about their country and, their competitors.
Yeah, it feels super.
Oh my goodness, look at this.
It's pretty awesome to compete in front of a crowd like this.
But he's not giving up. He's looking good.
Like such an adrenaline rush. It's an amazing feeling.
They make a lot of noise, and that's good for our spirit. Is it going to be the Czech Republic? And the crowd goes bananas. It's absolutely extrem hier. Man hört's.
I'm getting misty looking at those pictures. It was so amazing in Prague.
Brilliant.
And then we had that break. You know what I'm talking about,
I don't
folks.
remember.
But we're back for the World Championship in Stuttgart. Unfortunately, folks, the arena is sold out. But you know, you might get lucky with a scalper out front. Who knows? I you know, don't recommend doing that, but so far, both days of the World Championship completely sold out at the Porsche Arena in Stuttgart for November. I'm really looking forward to that event.
Absolutely.
It's going to be a wild, wild, wild weekend of timber sports action.
And you can watch us on the live stream, join us. You know, it's going to be absolutely fantastic. And what to look out for? Well, that's coming up right now. Enjoy.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Herzlich willkommen, Stuttgart! A new world record for Sterling Hart!
To celebrate the 90th anniversary, STIHL has brought the STIHL Timbersports World Championship back to Stuttgart.
Yeah, it did say get your tickets now, but...
Yep, too late, sorry.
Sorry, yes, but still, make sure to join us. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And we have a lot of STIHL Timbersports coming up until the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th of November. And yes, we've got this on your schedule right now. Even today, it's not only the Polish Pro Championship, but Steer Troy.
Yep.
We also have
the U.S. Pro Championship. That's coming up actually tomorrow, the 30th of July.
Yeah, but it's already today because of the time difference. Actually, it's 9 p.m. 9 p.m.
9 p.m. So directly after the Polish Pro Championship, you can tune in and watch the U.S. Pro Championship coming to you from Milwaukee in the United States of America. That
this is like a double bill watching, going to the cinema, you know, watching Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Twice for your money.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Nordic Championships coming up, Swiss Pro Championships, Austrian Championships. So all these nations still fighting for a top position in Europe to make
really looking forward to as well. 3rd of September, the European Nations Rookie Cup and the European Nations Pro Cup. That's a different type of format where the nations are battling against each other.
Nice
That's
one.
a lot
nice
of fun.
One. Absolutely. German Pro Championship in Essen, and the Team World Championship to kick it off in Stuttgart on the 3rd.
Yes.
And then, drum roll, the 4th of November. The individual World Championship, Stuttgart.
Will Australia be able to defend the World Championship as a team again, or will it be a new team, perhaps Poland, who will come from the black region of Europe and take over that top spot?
Everything and anything is theoretically possible. We've got the 8 top competitors from Europe.
Correct.
Taking on 4 from overseas.
4 from overseas, plus we also have the German competitor who is going to be included in the top 8, but doesn't have to have the whole qualifying situation. Danny Martin is definitely going to be there, and he'll be representing Germany. So as the host nation, he gets I'm not going to call it a pass because the boy is primo.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, he's going to be doing his best to try and get to that Hacksaw discipline.
But US champion, whoever is going to win this weekend, who's going to win the pros, he's going to be joining us in Stuttgart.
We also know that Sterling Hart's going to be there. Is Sterling Hart going to cat up the springboard again? We'll see. Who knows? Yeah, there's going to be a lot of action happening in Stuttgart in November, so make sure you stay tuned throughout the season and join us in Stuttgart as we take a look at the last-minute preparations on stage.
Yep, it looks like we have a bit of a problem with one of our logs up there, but the team has been working so fantastically.
I see what the problem is. The stand that they've got set up there, they needed to put a new tree stand in position because you can see the angle is a little bit off. So what they're doing right now is trying to chip away or trim away some of the base so that they can straighten it, because at the moment there's about a 10 to 15 degree angle at the top, and that's pretty much the last thing you want to have when you're trying to cut away a block at the top. So that's something they want to make sure that they have clarified. So last-minute preparations going on, and I mean, you really have to give props and kudos to the team that's out there on stage. They bust their butts to make sure that that stage is prepared as quickly as possible in between the disciplines, as well as cleaning up in between each of the heats to make sure that these guys have a safe environment to work on. And as you can see, there's a lot of wood being used on stage, but not to worry, folks. We take good care to make sure that we have the best competition wood possible. And
even if it's like a Pisa log that we've just seen.
The Pisa log is still a good piece of wood. It's just got to be placed correctly. Let's take a look at a little bit more about what goes into creating premium competition wood.
STIHL Timbersports is an international extreme sports competition series featuring 6 disciplines: 3 chopping and 3 STIHL Timbersports is an international extreme sports competition series featuring 6 disciplines: 3 chopping and 3 sawing. We have a premier competition, we need premier wood. The biggest challenges that I face as part of my role is to ensure that our competitions are supplied with the highest quality wood.
Each individual tree is examined for its conformation before processing. We need to make it fair for all athletes. So we are selecting different sections of the trees to use for each of our specific disciplines.
Once the trees are felled, extracted and transported to our facilities, we measure, mark and then cut the wood into sized blocks. We then peel the blocks ready for competition. After careful selection, the blocks then leave our yard and are distributed internationally to our STIHL Timbersports competitions.
Zadbaj o piękny ogród z najwyższej jakości urządzeniami akumulatorowymi STIHL. Tylko u dealerów STIHL.
All right, still dealing with a little bit of a log issue. Funny to say that, but we're dealing with a little bit of a log issue on stage. There was one stand that needed to be readjusted and straightened because, as I said before, you can't have the leaning tree tower of Pisa out there with the block on top for the springboard. It's a really important discipline for these guys. Might not be optimal, right?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
But we've got great STIHL Timbersports action coming up for you tonight, right after the Polish Pro Championships.
Yes.
And of course, tomorrow is going to be another big day. We've got a great format coming up for you.
Oh,
and,
the trophy.
Yes, I just need to mention it, and Troy just goes bananas. It's going to be one-on-one. You know, it's man against man. It's a knockout system. Just absolutely fantastic, and we have a good reason for you to tune in tomorrow again. Take a look at this.
Folks, here we go. It's the final for the European Trophy. Let's get it on. Good start by both of them. Over onto the underhand chop. Wow! How quick is he through that single buck? It all came down to the standing block chop.
So the weather's changed again. It's not raining anymore, which is really, really nice. But I think there are still some preparations going on stage, which means we're not quite ready yet for the heat.
So you could see there on the very right-hand side of the stage, I mean, you see the 4 tree stands there. On the very right-hand side of the stage is the stand that they're working on at the moment. It looks like they've got everything solidified. It's more or less straight. So at the moment, they're working on clearing off some of the bark just to make sure that our athletes have a place to set their pocket lines. And I should mention that we have 2 more heats to go, heats 3 and 4 in the Springboard. This is one of the most difficult disciplines to really be proficient at, not only from an athlete standpoint, but also from a stage setup standpoint. And these guys, they really do an excellent job to make sure that stage is ready as quickly as possible. But there was so much going on stage there. They wanted to make sure that that was absolutely set up perfectly. They see the Groenwald boys doing last-minute checks to make sure that they've got everything in place. They do need to place their top block on the stand, and in national competition, the top block needs to be placed by the athlete that's going to be competing. In this case, that's going to be Szymon Groenwald's block, and now they've just straightened that top section, so he's going to have a good position for his top block.
And as we're getting this great view of a brilliant stage, there has been a competition going on early on, and I think we can show some of the highlights of that, yeah, we'd love to share those moments with you. The Rookie Cup here in Poznan, and yeah, best pictures coming up right now. So
now these are the guys that you're going to see down the road in the future taking on the position of pro athletes. Now it's a mix of Polish and other European nations competing here in the Rookie Cup. 4 disciplines: the underhand chop, the single buck, which you're seeing right there, stock saw, and springboard with 1 single board for the rookies. And you're seeing this as a little bit of a mix from time to time. You don't very often see the springboard in these competitions, and it's something that's relatively new for the rookies, that they've wanted to have them doing springboard with 1 single board. But at least for these rookies, it was good weather. And there you can see Michal Groenwald just absolutely ready to go. Joseph Keszeg. There you have the French athlete Loïc Voinson. So all of these guys,
he ended up
hard.
in 3rd, by the way.
Loïc Voinson, 3rd place, yeah.
Nikolai Groenwald, so the brother of the man we're watching all day long here, the brother of Szymon. He made silver, and Ivan Babuška from the Czech Republic was the man who took home gold today earlier. So
yeah, Ivan Babuška is an absolutely fantastic athlete. You are going to see good things from him down the road, but let's not forget, we do have a Groenwald brother that's competing there in the rookie still, so the Groenwald legacy is getting better and better and better.
So world records holder in stock, so that's one of Ivan's merits, and like earlier on, it was mentioned by Spike Milton, those rookies, they are coming on fast. They are developing. The Rookie Academy is helping them to get the transition into the pros competition very much. And I mean, taking a look at them, how they spray the champagne and how they know how to celebrate, they're going to be up on the big stage very, very soon.
Very soon. I love the fact that they have the Rookie Academy as well. It's an opportunity for rookies to develop, and as we heard from Spike Milton earlier on in the show, it gives them an opportunity to hear from the pros and the experienced athletes of what kinds of things they can do better. And I remember we visited a Rookie Academy a few years ago, and we were talking about how in the stock saw, the positioning of the stock saw and not stepping forward into it. You see some of the pros, they still do that. They make these small mistakes, but you know, the efficiency of the cuts and listening to the machine and knowing the way that the single buck moves through the wood, and the underhand chop is one of the first things you learn as a rookie, is the chopping disciplines before you can go and start doing the standing block chop, which is very important because you have to have those angles exactly right.
Makes sense, yeah.
It's great to have that academy there for these athletes.
And we see the progress. We see all those personal bests. We had Olli Reinhardt here as well, telling us that he was training with Michal Dubicki you know, in this week. So this is like one big family
and
pushing each other.
And he also came through that rookie academy too, so we saw him progress.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
And he's gone from strength to strength, and now he's one of the guys that Switzerland is looking at to take over that top position as the athlete's going to be competing in the pro level for all of the future disciplines.
And these guys are fit. It's
he's a big boy. He's strong. Yeah.
But still, he was like, oh my word, you know, Dubicki. He was lifting those kettlebells, 32 kilograms with one hand, and it's like great to see this family grow together and then do things together. And they're pushing each other to the limits. Personal best there, national record there. It just keeps on developing and
absolutely
going into the right direction.
And it really is a family situation here too, because these guys all understand that not pushing each other and not supporting the other nations and the other athletes within the nation and outside the nation as well isn't going to help the situation if you're keeping everybody off to the side and not helping progress the sport, then the sport doesn't grow. And as we've seen in the last 5 to 7 years, the sport has just exploded with the number of athletes participating for the women, with the number of athletes that are participating at the rookie ranks. They've had to include now an intermediate group where they're too old to be rookies, but they're not qualified enough to be pros. So we have now intermediate competitions. I mean,
just grows and grows.
Growing and growing and growing. So this is
and Europe is getting stronger and stronger. You know, like if we take a look at the World Trophy 2023 with Dubicki, you know, ending up second, that's partly because these guys all work together. And I've just been told that the stage is ready.
Yes.
We are going to be rocking and rolling. The next heat of the Springboard is about to start, and that is going to be Marcin Dubicki against Marcin Darga, if I am not mistaken.
Well, they have their marching orders to get on stage. Oh, bad joke right there.
I love it.
Oh, terrible.
That's my kind of humor.
Dubicki and Darga going against each other, and I smell French fries. All right, so getting ready.
Off we go.
The tension mounts with these guys as both of them want to get up there. I'm curious to see how Marcin Darga does. This is a discipline where he's struggled a little bit in the past, but we've seen some major steps from him last year and this year.
3, 2, 1, go!
So we're 6 hits in for both of these guys so far. Dubicki placing his board, whereas Darga, want to see the picture from his side as Dubicki starts to get his pocket in the second one set. Darga is on his board, a little bit behind Dubicki as far as time is concerned.
But that's a great angle.
Yeah, he does have a good angle. But again, this bottom board is not super important. A quick look by Darga to make sure that that pocket is the way he wants to see it as he pulls up that board, and you could see that tooth as he sets it in place. Now, you don't want to have any junk in there. I'm surprised that he didn't give it a quick sweep with his fingers, but he gets the tooth in. Seems like it's biting well. The question is, when he gets his weight up there, how is it going to hold? Dubicki, meanwhile, is already working on that top block, and we may see a good time here. The time to beat at the moment is 1:26.98, and Dubicki is well deep in his first block with some really accurate cuts. Look how nice those sides are. And now he just has to move to the backside of that awkward angle, and we should see the fastest time of the day from Dubicki as he's almost through, as he's working hard to get it.
Here we go.
Waggle, and it's done. Personal best 1:13.28.
Nice.
Nice. Dubicki's got it. Darga's got to get through there. His personal best is 1:52.59, so he's just passing the 1:23 mark. Could he get a personal best today? He's got to get through there as quickly as he possibly can. That's stating the obvious, but you can see he's got a bit of a saggy board, and he's stepped really close to the block, so he's using a lot of his extreme power in his upper body, but that's tiring. So now he should switch to the backside as he's pretty deep.
Oh, he heard you.
He's changing his whole body position there instead of just going for the awkward angle. And you can see the hand position as it's starting to come through. It's not going to have his best time, but he will have a time here. So Darga does it in 1:57.18, but Dubicki with a very nice time. Fastest time of the day so far for our Polish pros. And Darga, a quick deep breath to get some oxygen back in his body after a monumental effort up top there. So there are advantages to having the muscle mass that Darga has, but the disadvantage is that those muscles need more blood, more oxygen to work, and that means you get tired quicker.
But that was nice to see. A personal best under these conditions.
Yes, absolutely.
Very well done.
I mean, the fact that these guys are getting through in a minute and change is testament to the fact that they're just making sure that they're getting their times locked in. They're not wanting to take too many risks here with the weather conditions, the slipperiness of the stage. You know, there's so many things that play a role here. As we take a look at the pocket setting from Marcin Darga, he had about 8 hits to get that first pocket set, and a few more on that second pocket. And this is really the crucial point, as I mentioned earlier. You want to make those pockets as quick as you possibly can. So an optimal pocket is like a 3-4 hit pocket, and that's what we saw for that world record from Sterling Hart in Stuttgart in 2016. I mean, he set those pockets and he was up so quick, it was amazing. And then once he was on top, he just had the perfect block up there for that world record. And we're not anywhere near breaking that here today, but again, the weather conditions and the conditions in general, just making it to the point where these guys want to have a time in the books and get the points.
Absolutely, and it's keeping your focus. And
Yes.
talking about keeping the focus, these two are the men up on top of the board. So it's Michal Dubicki against Szymon Groenwald. That's
Now,
our final heat in the Springboard.
This is our final heat, and this will also be the first time that Szymon Groenwald will be doing Springboard with 2 boards in competition. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on the young man. Now, we saw him struggle a little bit. I wouldn't call it struggling, but he made a rookie mistake on that single buck by giving it a little bit too much elbow, let's put it that way. He bent that saw, completely locking it up and broke it off. So his time could have been a lot faster in the single buck than it had been, but you know, it's one of those situations where it's experience, and this is where you really need to have experience on the Springboard. So it's going to be interesting to see how Szymon Groenwald does here against an athlete like Michal Dubicki. Quick dry of the area there at Simon's feet.
Szymon also had a bit of sand with him. He gave some to his opponent, to Michal Dubicki. So very nice to see how these athletes are fierce in competing, but very heartful in being sportsmen. So that's awesome.
Yeah, like I said, this is a family affair, literally in the case of Groenwald and Dubicki, but even in between the non-related individuals out there, they all help each other. It's about progressing the sport and making sure the next generation of athletes is ready to take over, even though they're scared of what's coming.
Okay, gentlemen.
So we have no idea how Szymon Groenwald is going to be competing in this discipline because we have not seen him do it.
We've seen him do well with one board, but 2 boards is a different animal altogether.
So he knows the game, but now he's playing with the big boys, and maybe the biggest, Michal Dubicki.
Oh, wow, look at that. Szymon was up before Dubicki. Dubicki used 8 hits to set his pocket. Szymon Groenwald probably had 6 hits.
Oh.
I don't know how many he had on this one, but he's got himself a good second board.
Szymon
Groenwald is he is just absolutely impressive today. He's already on that top block and could well have the fastest time of the day, which would mean good things for Szymon. Look at him go. Look at that board. It's beautiful. It's got angle. He can take a step at the back and really use his back leg
so
and the power.
unbelievably well.
Incredible kid. This guy is absolutely fantastic. He'll switch to the backside of that block shortly as he's pretty deep on the first side, but here comes Michal Dubicki. He's pushing. Oh, he's got a bit of a problem though. The big block has gone off. He needs to cut from the backside, and we have a time under a minute with 53:44 for Szymon Groenwald. The question is, will it count? He went so deep on the first side. There's no flag on the play so far, so it looks like he might be okay because he did cut off the last tooth of wood from the backside, and that's so critically important. We will let Competition Control Center inform our judges about that to make sure everything is safe, but it looks like we might have a good time
The
for
potential
Szymon
of this
Groenwald.
kid is unbelievable.
Unbelievable, and that would mean he'll have 54 points to Michal Dubicki's 60 points, and it will come down literally between these two guys to the hot saw. What an effort by Szymon Groenwald, though. That was fantastic. And I think Dubicki was maybe a little bit surprised by what he was seeing on the other side of that stage.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
Wow,
That is
personal best there, and a fantastic personal best, by the way, of 57.70. The only athlete today to make it in under 1 minute. Let's take a look back at the slow-mo. Hopefully we get to see how many hits it took Szymon to get that pocket set. That's 2. That's 3. Come on. I'm going to guess it was a 6-hit pocket, which is absolutely acceptable under these circumstances for his first ever 2-board springboard competition. And against a guy like Michal Dubicki, that is a monumental effort. But look at that top board. Look at his back foot. It's right at the end of the board. He can use the power of his back leg to push through, rotate the hips through, get lots of power into that driver. Now, here's where the problem became a little bit for him. He chipped off a huge chunk, and that could be worrying. So he knew that he had to go back to the backside and cut off that second piece. And he did a good job to maintain his composure and get it off, because that second piece getting cut off is so critical, especially as you have to cut it from both sides of the block.
That's the rule. That's the rule.
Cut through from one side.
But a big smile on both faces.
Yes.
As we have the final standing in this discipline. Groenwald's with the 16 points, Dubicki and Dubicki collecting 14 and 12, Michal 14 and Marcin the 12 points, Kaczmarek 10 points, Drostek 8 points, and Darga going home with 6 points because Koval and Kamil Dubicki have been disqualified because their time limit was exceeded.
So let's take a look at the overall standings.
That's the big one.
Shortly.
That's the interesting one, because we've got only one more discipline coming up, and that's round 3, the hot saw, as we can maybe hear in the background.
So here we go. This is where it's going to get a little bit of a bit of moving around. So Dubicki and Groenwald stay in those first 2 positions, so they're 1 and 2. But now the points difference is not that much. Only 6 points separate those 2 guys. So it really comes down to whether or not these 2 guys can go for the battle in the hot saw. As we hear them warming them up in the background, the stage will get shifted. The big tree stands will come down, and we'll get ready for our head-to-head hot saw. And now the maker or breaker discipline comes out.
Yes, and of course, I mean, the fastest in the hot saw will receive 18 points.
Yes.
Second fastest 15, third fastest 12. 6 athletes competing, so almost everything is still possible on top of the board at the moment.
Among the top 3, I think there could be some good shifting going on, but to be honest with you, it really only comes down to the top 2 guys. Now,
but Dubicki, you know, he's not the biggest fan of hot saw, is he?
No, he's not, and he's had trouble with the hot saw in the past. So, you know, if he knows that Szymon Groenwald's been working hard on that hot saw and he's got some good cuts in practice,
you can kind of see me in the back mirror,
breathing down his neck, as it were. But then again, Szymon is an unproven athlete when it comes to the hot saw in competition. So this is going to be the big factor. Will Michal Dubicki be able to hold off the onslaught of Szymon Groenwald? And if he does make a mistake, can Szymon Groenwald get those 2 good or 3 good cuts to make those cookies hit the deck properly? And there you can see one of the machines in the background.
Is the big showdown we've all been waiting for. But
yes,
you know, these are such special conditions, such special situations that we've got now. You know, getting the warm-up for your hot saw done, it's raining, you're under that tent. You know, there's a youngster coming up. For the youngster, of course, it's my first big, my first big contest. First time I'm going to be up on a big stage competing with the hot saw. We have no idea at all what Szymon's best times are.
We know that he's practiced with the hot saw. Immediately after he won the Rookie World Championship, he took off.
And Michal Dubicki knows any of his times?
Guaranteed.
Okay.
Guaranteed. They've been working together. Yeah. Listen to those machines roar. Love that throaty sound.
And it's so funny. It's always the same. You can see some of the guys moving up closer towards those hot saws because they're so interested, because it's so loud. And you can see other people in disbelief.
Stepping back, because of the noise.
And putting stuff into their ears, trying to cover their ears because it is so loud. I mean, if you've been to Formula 1,
you know.
It's nice, but you know, this is even topping it. It's great.
These are Formula 1 saws right there. They are custom-made saws. Most of them have like a motorcycle engine or some sort of 2-stroke engine with a ton of power. So
yeah, we
we're
talked
gonna
about the
get these
MS661 that
yeah,
you can
the
buy.
MS661.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
these are no these are no saws that you can buy in the regular store. Sorry, guys.
These are expensive saws, and you need to have some real proper control of these saws in order to be able to operate them. And you do need to have specific parameters in order to operate these saws as well in competition. So this is a key thing why Szymon Groenwald, as an 18-year-old, needed to have some testing done before he was able to actually compete with the saw.
Yeah, it's a
And
bit like
that's
a
why he
driver's
went-
license.
Exactly, it's very much so like a driver's license. So that's why he went immediately after the Rookie World Championship. As an 18-year-old, he celebrated his birthday there. So he went straight after.
But it's, you know, while the competition was more or less not over yet, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the winner's celebration, of course, but, you know.
He was like going to check the hot saw, yeah. So, I mean, he
Where's
really
the
wanted
hot
to
saw?
make
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
He really wanted to make sure that he had that hot saw in his hand at least 5 or 6 times before this event came up. So we know that he's ready to go. The question is, will he be able to withstand the pressure? We'll find out.
Oh, we're definitely going to find out, and you're going to find out everything you need to know about the tool and the discipline now, because we're going to show you a short video that will explain everything.
These custom, handmade, race-tuned machines are built for maximum power and precision and to cut the wood as fast as possible in a competition. They are built with a 60 to 80 horsepower single-cylinder 2-stroke engine, often taken from a snowmobile or high-powered motorbike. The hot saw can weigh up to 30 kilograms and its chain rotates at over 250 kilometers an hour. The cost of a competition hot saw used in STIHL Timbersports is upward of 6,000 euros. Hot saw. For the hot saw, power saws are called into action and the athletes have a space of 15 centimeters to cut 3 complete discs off a 46 centimeter thick wooden block. Jumping the start or cutting over the line will result in a disqualification.
I'm a bit scared. And Troy always tells me this is the maker or the breaker.
I'm changing my mind about that after
Of
the
Springboard.
Springboard situation, but this is still officially the maker or breaker.
Yeah, take a look at this.
Yep.
This is the one and only discipline where the athletes are alone on stage.
Yeah, probably the most important event, but yeah, also the most frustrating.
These saws are so incredibly powerful and dangerous.
Usually the hot saw is the slider. Hot saw, hot saw. I can't describe to you when we're out there under pressure.
Saw starts well, first disc looks solid, cut is good.
You know, you're always ending the competition on a hot saw, so you know where you're going to be at when you finish. So you're either at a real big high or just is what it is.
Nice clean cuts, easy, relaxed.
Der Hot Saw ist für mich die geilste Disziplin der Welt.
5, 6, 8, Robert Ebner, 3 on the deck.
Hot saw is a love-hate for me. I honestly don't get that much enjoyment out of it. I'm not a motorhead. I swallow my pills and eat it.
Once the competition comes, anything can happen. Oh no, a false start by Sterling Hart. What a disaster.
Yeah, it was a disappointment for me. Happens though, it's part of competing.
I saw there's 3 good discs there, but then let that nose come right up underneath the crossover line.
Unfortunately, a disqualification.
It all relies on the hot saw.
Oh no.
Irgendwie soll es einfach nicht sein. Und dann springt die Hot Saw nicht an, wieder mal.
Oh man, that is a bummer for Robert Ebner.
What are you taking away from this event?
Oh, probably last place. I don't know, headache. Yeah, shit hot saw. What else do you want?
If you have bad luck or if you did wrong, it's part, just your experience.
Oh my goodness, what an absolute disaster. The chain came off.
I was not disappointed because everybody see that I can be with the guys in front.
bit of a disaster, so it was just operator error, and I didn't perform as well as I would have liked to.
Nice safe cut.
Oh no! Oh no! Never prepared for that situation, but luckily it started and I got 3 wheels and now I'm the world champion.
Yeah, it's the make or break event, you know.
I think you love it and you hate it.
Das ist eigentlich immer ein geiles Ding. Ich schneide immer sehr sicher.
Oh, great start for both of these guys. Look at how quick it's going for Robert Ebner. Oh my God, Robert Ebner, he's got a world record. Holy smokes.
Ich wollte das Ding heimbringen, ich wollte Weltrekord schneiden und ich danke meiner Familie zu Hause und alle, die mich unterstützt haben.
Just try to make 3 good cuts and no disqualification.
The hot saw is where it's all one, so that's the best event.
So having seen this, what more do you need? You need the heats.
You need the heats and the saws.
Arkadiusz Drozdek against Christian Kaczmarek. Then we see Marcin Darga take on Marcin Dubicki. And finally, in heat number 3, the big showdown, Szymon Groenwald against Michal Dubicki.
Wow. The world record currently 4.62 seconds, held by Adam Lefko. So that is quite the target.
4.62.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the times that these guys have 8.58, 7.80, I mean, those are fast times, but 4.62 is a murderous cut.
Okay, gentlemen, warm up your saws.
I know this has nothing to do with nothing, but that's the most hair I've seen
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
in ages. You're not going to hear much from us during the hot saw. Yeah, you probably prefer it that way, actually.
That's one of the reasons why I love the hot saw. Wow.
So there you go, your first taste of a little bit of hot saw noise on stage. Christian Kaczmarek and Arkadiusz Drozdek. Now this is the big issue now. They've got their saws
30 seconds.
warmed up. They have 30 seconds now to rewrap the starter cord and get that thing ready to go. Now, Christian Kaczmarek was having trouble earlier, but it seems like he's got things organized now. But he hasn't been able to get it started, so it was only Arkadiusz Drozdek's saw that was running. That's a big problem for Kaczmarek. He needs to get that thing heated up a little bit so that when he does pull that cord, and hopefully it's not a minor mistake like the starter or the kill switch is in.
Athletes, ready!
Stand to your
This
timber.
could be a problem for Kaczmarek.
3,
Here we go.
2,
It's race
1,
time.
go!
He's done, he's done. Oh,
Good
that's
cuts for
disappointing.
Arkadiusz Drozdek. The points will be his, but Christian Kaczmarek couldn't get his saw to jump. Oh, that is disappointing. So that's going to be a not cut DQ.
I mean, he would still have a bit of time, but he's given up. I mean, not being able to start the machine is, of course, very, very disappointing.
Yeah, and our time is still running on our timer system here, so I didn't see, but I think it was around 8 seconds, 8 and change for Arkadiusz Drozdek.
8:03, I think, is the official time that we just
there
received.
we go. Now it's just come up.
So that was quite, good. Good
Okay,
counting,
we have a
good guessing.
disqualification on stand 2. Did not finish. However, this cut is good.
So Arkadiusz Drozdek has a point, or some points in the book right now, sitting in 3rd place overall. I don't think we have a hot seat. We only have the hot seat at the World Championships, I think. And there you can see the disappointment right away by Christian Kaczmarek, as just couldn't get the saw running. I don't know what the problem was. He had the lift, he had everything he needed, he just didn't have the saw, and he knew right away he wasn't going to get it started, wasn't going to bother.
So that's at least 6 points for Drozdek. Why not? You know?
Yep, pretty thick first or second cookie for Drozdek. He came close to cutting the line, but he's so practiced with that saw. He had a good 3rd cookie on the deck, no cut line, so he had a safe cut, and he's got himself some points. So at the moment, he's sitting in 3rd place, but there are still 2 more heats to go here.
And honestly, I'm starting to feel the tension. Like, it's getting to me at the moment. Things are drying up outside, by the way, if we want to talk about the weather for a moment.
Well, my mom and I call it haze moments because my grandparents used to call us, and the first thing out of their mouths would be, it's about the weather. So for us, we've had haze moments all day long today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's how you get some staying power in life. Have moments that everybody talks about and continues to talk about.
So heat number 2, Marcin Darga, Marcin Dubicki on the way. Oh, look at that. Look at the faces. You have to be so concentrated, so focused.
Interestingly enough, though, Marcin Darga looks fairly relaxed coming out onto the stage. So
I was just about to say the same thing.
That could bode well for him. He's got a personal best of 9.37 seconds. See him there.
And he's still in a very good position to be up on the podium, so that's great to see.
And I mean, he's a man with the power to be able to manipulate that saw in about the most controlled fashion. He just needs to get it started and make sure he's clean with his cuts. So this is the thing. And you can see those shields they put up. Those are actually Lexan shields. They're basically bulletproof glass, and they're there for the safety of not only the athletes, but also everyone else that's anywhere within chain shot, because we did have Redmar Knoll actually had the chain come off of his saw and cut the inside of his leg at the championships. And there's one of those saws.
I've heard some loud hot saws, but that is definitely one of the loudest I've heard so far.
Well, I think that that deep growly one is the Wankel motor, and then you've got the what's the other one they have, the Rotax. So yeah.
I mean, I don't know if our viewers at home get to feel the sound as much as we are, but
well, the
this
thing
is not just the noise, it's also the vibration.
Yeah, I was just
going
to say, you can feel the sound.
Feel the noise, yeah.
Come on, feel the noise. Yeah, so you can feel the vibrations from these saws coming into our studio here. So, because we're more or less right next to the stage, so these things are incredibly loud and incredibly powerful and incredibly dangerous. So that's one of the reasons why they have to be really well versed.
Athletes, ready!
And knowing how to use them. Here we go.
Timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh, good start. Wow, wow, wow.
Whoa! Surprising slow run from Marcin Darga, 12-12, but Marcin Dubicki with a national record 7:09. Fantastic run for Marcin. Question is, are the cuts clean? I'm seeing a couple of fairly fat and angular cookies there, so let's see if he's got an official time. Marcin Darga, I'm not sure he's super pleased with the cut time, but he's got himself a time on the board.
Okay, congratulations. Both cuts are good.
So it's been changed. The official time for Darga, 11:99. Dubicki's actually gotten a little bit faster with a national record, 6:94. Fantastic time for Marcin Dubicki.
And he's put himself in front of Marcin Darga with that. Also in the overall standing. He's going to be very fond of that.
You could see the time that he took to get those first cuts set. Marcin Dubicki, nice and clean, good cookies, a little bit fat, and Darga hovering a little bit there. So the control aspect for Darga was a little bit off point. You could see that first cookie angle. The next two cookies were kind of fat. Risky. Thin to win is the way to go, but there's a risk on both sides of the coin here. Looks like we're going to have a beautiful sunset here this evening as we get ready for our final heat. And I said it right off the hop today. It's going to be a showdown between Szymon Groenwald and Michal Dubicki.
That's what we were hoping for, and that's what we and everybody at home is getting.
Yes, that's what you're getting. So right now, Marcin Dubicki with the full 18 points. He is atop the leaderboard with 65 points. And now, all Michal Dubicki has to do is get
A better time than Szymon Groenwald, just to make sure.
No, he just, I mean, he doesn't have to have a better time than Szymon Groenwald. It's like, you know, running away from the bear. As long as I'm faster than you, I don't have to be faster than the bear, right?
That's very true.
But Szymon Groenwald, I mean, an unproven factor here. Could he be the surprise of the day? And as we've seen in past, there's been a few moments of uncertainty from Michal Dubicki with this discipline. That's not to say that he can't do it, and that saw is already warm because Marcin Dubicki used that very same saw, so it didn't even leave position.
So 6 points between the two athletes.
Warm up your saws.
2 positions between the athletes here. And we have the same amount of points, and then it's down to the time. So this could be a very, very close call. 18 years old, Szymon Groenwald, 42 years old, Michal Dubicki. So is it the routine that's gonna bring home the win, or is it gonna be the young spirits of a world champion rookie?
Yeah, that's the question of the day, you know? Vim and vigor, or is it going to be practice and experience? I would say in this discipline, you almost always give it to practice and experience, but you never know. He, speaking of he, is Szymon. He is an unproven athlete in this particular discipline, so we may be surprised. We've seen some great things from him today. You know he's going to be making all these other pro athletes sweat buckets.
Ready.
So let's see how he does against.
To your timber.
Oh boy, this is
3, 2, 1, go.
No mistakes from Dubicki here.
Dubicki clean.
Well, Dubicki
4th place in the hot saw results, so that's going to change things quite significantly in the overall standings. It'll be interesting here. We'll take a look at that and update you shortly.
But one thing is clear. Michal Dubicki
Okay,
is
congratulations.
the new Polish
Both cuts
pro
are good.
champion, no doubt about that. Marcin Dubicki up on the board just before Szymon Groenwald, who ends up with a bronze medal, and that is absolutely fantastic.
So Marcin Dubicki with a 6.94. Michal Dubicki here with a great start, lifting and pulling at the same time. Really, really nice cut there. You could see, and this is exactly what I was talking about. Szymon Groenwald hovered a bit before he got that first cut, but that cookie was beautifully cut. The second cookie a bit thicker, and there you could see that third cookie from Michal Dubicki was well and truly done before Szymon had even started the first cookie there, or the last cookie. So, but to be honest with you, those are some really, really nice cuts from Szymon Groenwald, and you could see that there is definitely an athlete ready to take over the top spot. So hot saw results here.
Dubicki.
Yeah, but it's Marcin Dubicki on top with that national record. Michal Dubicki in 2nd place with a 7.50, so 15 points was definitely enough. And Arkadiusz Drozdek in 3rd place. There you can see the 9.84 personal best from Szymon puts him in 4th place. So let's take a look how that's going to affect the overall standings here. Watch for it.
And of course, the final standings here at the Polish Pro Championships 2023.
Look at that. Szymon Groenwald will take a bronze medal in his first ever pro event. What a fantastic result for the 18-year-old man. And then Marcin Dubicki in 2nd place, and Michal Dubicki, as you mentioned, is our Polish champion.
This guy is on fire.
Yeah. I mean, he has been for
showed us, yeah.
2 years now. He's really shown that he wants it badly.
And he's going to be a man to watch tomorrow again.
Absolutely.
At the European Trophy. With that as a background, you know, being the new Polish champion, that's of course is a feeling he has had before. But he was not the reigning champ, so I think he's going to be very, very pleased to regain his title. Of course, with his brother here up on the podium as well, that's absolutely fantastic. And then with the youngster Szymon Groenwald in bronze, I think we've seen a competition that's has been everything we wished for.
Absolutely, and I mean, Szymon Groenwald has shown us something here that you don't very often see when a rookie steps onto stage coming directly out of the rookie ranks in his first year of competition. It's very, very seldom that you have a special talent like this that comes out and manages to damage some of the other guys.
It takes time, you know, everybody tells you,
you need to
try to
ripen and develop.
Peter.
Absolutely correct, yeah. And we saw him absolutely murder the standing block
out there
chop today. He was fantastic in the underhand chop, and what you just saw is an athlete that needs a little bit of time with that hot saw. He's only touched the thing for the first time this year, 3 months ago, not even. So you have to give props to that man for getting the bronze medal today, and he is going to be an athlete to be reckoned with in the next couple of seasons. I guarantee you he is going to be atop this podium next year, if not making damages sooner.
Oh, I've just heard there will be a repeat of our first hot saw heat.
Okay, that's a bit of an interesting situation.
Why this has occurred, and that would of course mean everything we said so far
is
not true anymore. There might still be changes. It is a maker or the breaker, the hot saw. As we can see on stage, things are happening. We'll try and find out as fast as possible.
I think this mostly has to do with the fact that Christian Kaczmarek's saw didn't start, and they're going to give him an opportunity to run it again. So they will run at least his saw one time to see if he could get a good time. To be honest with you, I don't know how much that's going to change the overall standings because of where he was in the overall standings. He would need to have an absolutely blisteringly fast time, so we'll see.
And there is between Michal Dubicki and Szymon Groenwald, we have one position at the moment, so this is not going to be the whole heat repeated, I've just been told, but
it's just going to be Christian Kaczmarek.
Yes.
But this is a bit of an unusual situation because normally this is the luck of the draw. If you can't get your saw started when you're on stage, that's just the way it is. You know, it's sport, it's competition, and if it doesn't start, that is by virtue of everything needing to be set up properly beforehand. So I'm a little bit confused as to why that they're doing it this particular way, but they are doing it. They've decided to do it and give Christian an opportunity.
But it will have no effect on the outcome of Michal Dubicki being the new champion, which is impossible.
The only thing it might do is shift one of the other guys up or down, which would be a little bit unfortunate if you know, Szymon or Marcin managed to get dropped down out of a spot, but we'll see what happens here. This is a strange decision, but it is the decision nonetheless that has been made, so Christian Kaczmarek will have an opportunity to get a time on.
And the crowd is enjoying it. Let's not forget these amazing fans that have been out here by rain, wind, sunshine. They've had it all.
Yeah, they've had it everything. The only thing that was missing was snow.
And they're here still supporting their favorite athletes, and that's fantastic to see. So now we've got the times back on our screens. Now they're gone again, so.
All right, so I've just been given a quick update as to what's happening here in this, and now we have the actual reason why Christian is able to do his cut again. Christian doesn't have his own saw, so he used a STIHL hot saw provided from STIHL. Now, it turns out that the saw that they gave him, there was something wrong with the motor, and that's the reason why it didn't start. So by no fault of Christian's own, is the saw didn't start, so now he's going to have a saw that has been checked by the technicians here, and you see it does start, so this will be the official cut for Christian Kaczmarek. So let's see what this does for the standings here in the top three guys, if it changes anything at all. For no other reason than just to see that Christian Kaczmarek has a time in the board and some points, but I really hope it doesn't change anything for the top three guys, in particular for Szymon Groenwald, because I really would like to see him stay in that bronze medal position.
As a mathematical genius, I can tell you it will not.
It will not, yeah,
because
I agree with you
he's
there.
20 points behind Szymon, who's in bronze medal position.
Math guy.
And the most he could get is 18 points by winning the hot saw, so we do not have to worry about the top three, so this is just a bonus for the crowd. And of course,
also for Christian to get the time, because it's important for the European ranking and the overall ranking in Poland.
Athlete, ready!
Stand to your timber. 3, 2, 1, go!
All right, had to readjust, but he's got 3 cookies on the deck by the looks of it. And Christian Kaczmarek with a 9.46, so that's 4th place in the hot saw results. That would give him 9 points, so you're absolutely correct. That only does one thing, and that shifts him up to 4th place in the overall standings. Not bad at all, and that definitely helps for his Polish standing as well as the European standings. And that pushes Marcin Darga down to 5th place, as well as Arkadiusz Drozdek down to 6th place there. So he's happy to get the time in the books and be done with it.
Oh, look at the smile. It was worth it.
Congratulations! The cut is good!
Yes.
Yes, well done, guys.
Yep. All right, so now that the stage has been set up for the awards, taken back to competition mode, and now they'll have to reset up for the awards here after we take a look at the slow-mo from Christian
A lot of things
Kaczmarek.
happening for our crew as well.
Here's a cutout right there. He noticed it. Good timing for him to notice that. He had to recut that
Considering that, this is really a good time.
Yeah. But I mean, these guys, you know, it's an experienced athlete right there, and Christian, he knows what happens and how it feels on those cuts. So now we're going to take a look at the ranking again. So Christian Kaczmarek, 4th place in the hot saw ranking, and as I mentioned, that puts him into 4th place in the overall standing as well once we readjust for his time that has now been registered. All right, beautiful look at our service center there.
And now it is
results.
official. This is the final result.
Final ranks.
Try, we've got it now. So
but look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. 75 points for Michal Dubicki.
Impressive.
And Marcin Dubicki with 65 points, 10 points back. And Szymon Groenwald, 5 points back of Marcin Dubicki. Also, those are really, really nice times. And you can see in the underhand chop, Szymon with a 2nd place. In the stock saw, he was a little bit lower down in the list. I think he had 4th or 5th place in standing block chop. Top points right there for him and a national record. The single buck, as we noticed with that cutout and having to reset everything, he had a really, really okay run, and he got the 16 points with the fastest time on the 2-board springboard, and then the hot saw. Hey, 6 points, he'll take that any day of the week, and he'll take the experience as well and come back next year hot and ready to rock the top of that podium.
Brilliant stuff. You can hear the crowd singing. Everybody's having a great time. The weather has returned with, let's call it sunshine at this time of day for the winners ceremony. But an amazing result for the Dubickis and, of course, for Szymon Groenwald. And fantastic competition. Everything we were hoping for, we got delivered. So that's awesome.
All right, just getting set up for the awards. We'll bring all the athletes back out on stage for the awards ceremony from 14th up till 4th place, and then we will have our top 3 for the awards ceremony and the champagne shower. So before that, there's a lot of action. It's back to us. Shocker. I mean, we've had a busy,
so beautifully. And
it could have. It's been a busy, busy day with all the things that are going on. The crew on stage, the crew behind the scenes, and everybody's done such a great job to make sure that everything worked out at the end. There were a few pauses. We appreciate your patience with the pauses that we've had because of
thank you very much.
The weather that's been here. It's been crazy today. We've had sunshine in the morning. It's blistering hot. It was muggy. Then there was wind. And then we had the rain coming down like crazy. A thunderstorm passed through. Planes were going all over the place like this.
A big shout out to all the fans that stayed from the very to the last minute, looking for shelter in between, returning, you know, having their umbrellas, taking them down and putting on the sunglasses.
Hiding under the banners
putting
that
on
were
the
on the fences
sunscreen.
back there.
Brilliant stuff, and everybody's in a great mood. You could see it now with the last hot dog. Everybody was cheering the athletes on. Everybody was having a great time, and so were we. And hopefully you guys at home. Let's not forget, we've got the US Pro Championship coming up in
shortly,
25 minutes. So right after the winner's ceremony, I would advise to grab some food, to grab some drinks, and
take a bathroom break.
Maybe take a bathroom break, and then sit down again, because that's going to be another cracker, and also the time to find out who's going to join us for the World Championships.
We'll find out what American athlete will be coming over to Stuttgart to join us for the World Championships in November. There's
At least that's what I'm going to do after we finished here. You know?
We're definitely going to watch that for sure, absolutely. But there's such a crop of athletes over there as well. We already know that from Canada, Sterling Hart will represent. But it's now down to who is going to be representing from the United States at the World Championship. So that is going to be determined today. And that is coming up in 25 minutes.
Set your clocks, because tomorrow we'll be back at 1 p.m. Central European time for another cracker, the European Trophy, and that is definitely a format that you are going to love. I mean, if you've watched STIHL Timbersports before, you know what we're talking about. If you have not,
the
trust
trophy
me,
format. Oh, it's so great. Tune in for that one. It is pure action. It's elimination rounds. It's heats of athletes going on 4 disciplines back to back to back. It is banana camp out there on stage. I love it.
Did you just say it is banana camp?
Banana camp, man.
Okay, that's what they say in Canada, obviously. I'm going to take a short look, because our studio is right next to the stage.
It seems like we're more or less ready for the awards ceremony. I think they're just trying to gather the athletes there. Yeah, the trophies are out there. So it's just about getting down to the actual award ceremony time here on stage.
Yep. And hopefully, instead of us, you're going to see some balloons, for instance.
Yay.
How about that? That's oh, lovely.
And there you see. All right, so it sounds like we are ready to go. We're going to bring out all 14 athletes from the bottom all the way up to 4th place.
Poznan is ready.
So here he comes, Karol Górski.
I've seen him more happy before.
Yeah. And we have Krzysztof Majewski.
Yeah, he's loving it.
He's loving it. Next athlete to come out will be Robert Adamovich. Handsome fella. Next up will be Artur Krupinski.
And that brings us to the top 10 already.
Next up, Marcin Joskowski.
Oh, fan club getting really loud.
Yeah, he seems to have a big family. Szymon Groenwald up next.
A legend, absolute legend.
Yeah, if for no other reason than producing Szymon, yeah. But he is an absolute fantastic athlete. Next up, Tomasz Kowal.
And I have to say, Troy, after these few hours, your Polish has become so much better. It's amazing.
And I'll figure out how to order a beer later in Polish.
Yes, please. Make sure to order 2.
Then we have another Dubicki, Kamil Dubicki. We mentioned a legend in Jacek Groenwald. Well, the next man coming up on stage is a legend in Polish timber sports, Arkadiusz Drozdek.
And he still looks so young, and he's unbelievably fit as we proceed to the top 5 of the competition.
Now, by virtue of a bit of a rough hot saw, Marcin Targa ends up in 5th place, and he will definitely be moving to improve that hot saw, because the rest of his game is pretty solid. And then we have number 4 in our list, Christian Kaczmarek. He got there because they let him do that hot saw, and he got himself a 9 and change. And he's happy about
smile,
that.
Yeah.
4th place overall in the standings
Well
here
deserved.
at the Polish National Championship. And now we will go to our top 3.
What a moment this must be, Troy. For this young man, for this 18-year-old ex-rookie. Unbelievable. Here comes the bronze medalist here at the STIHL Timbersports Polish Pro Championship, Szymon Groenwald. And this gives you a smile on your face as well, Troy. That's
absolutely
great to see.
Such a nice young kid.
Oh, yes.
You know, he's still learning English, but he's trying really hard. So friendly, and you know, he is the future of Polish timber sports. That is, above all, clear. And he is going to be very used to standing in that position, if not higher, very often in the future.
Oh, and our announcer's getting excited now as well for the silver medalists, who will very soon arrive here on stage. That's the man you want to have a picture with. You heard it, the silver medalist, Michal Dubicki.
Look how happy he is, hey? That's fantastic, I love it.
Also well deserved. Shut up and chop, you know, on his cap, I like that.
Yep.
Kiss my axe, let's go. Yeah, that's great. That's great to see. Here comes the champion. Here comes the man. Here comes Michal Dubicki. And I'll tell you what, he wasn't sure he's going to take home the title. Not until the very last second.
Yeah. I mean, the confidence is there, but it starts to wane a little bit when you see a young man like Szymon Groenwald making inroads like he did in today's competition. So, you know, he was thinking about it a lot today, especially during that springboard. That was stress pure for Michal Dubicki.
Also such a nice personality.
Yes.
So time for the national anthem. Oh yeah, he's the first.
Szymon right away. He gets into it immediately. Good job by the young man to really get it going. He knows how to party. Amazing.
Not #1 on the hot so yet, but with a champagne shower.
Yeah, he's got
top
that
of
covered.
the league. Yeah.
He's got plenty of practice behind him, and he'll have more for sure.
Oh, what a great competition.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Beautiful seeds. Poznan has treated as well.
Yes, they have. Except for the weather.
Yeah, okay, yes. But the competition itself, absolutely fantastic.
Yep.
Polish Pro Championship has been a delight. And tomorrow, we're going to be back at 1 p.m. Central European time, and that's one of your favorites, right?
Yeah, I love the trophy format. I love the action, the activity. Everything can happen. It's a head-to-head knockout heats. The European trophy is going to be a banger here. We've got some of the best European athletes ready to compete in this trophy format. And if you want to see some exciting timber sports action, that's definitely where you want to be tomorrow. Tune in at 1 o'clock Central European time. Yeah, I can't even begin to describe to you how crazy it's going to get.
Just tune in. Make sure to be here.
Today was crazy with the la, but you know, it's going to be even nuts tomorrow. So more nuts, I should say.
And maybe we can get the European ranking in, I've just been told, to see where
this would be good to
Michal
know.
Dubicki has ended up so far. Of course, we've still got some competitions coming up. like the Nordics, the Swiss, Austrian, and German. Okay, and they are working on the graphics. Of course, this is like a very special thing. We've talked about it before, because if you're the national champion in the USA, you directly come to the World Championships. If you're the national champion in Poland, this is not necessarily true.
It's not a guarantee that you're going to go to the World Championships. It's based on the European ranking, so the top 8 athletes in the European ranking will move on, and there you see.
And we're looking good.
Dubicki, number 2, so he's fixed. That's clear that he'll be there.
So that is great to hear for all the fans here. I'm not sure if they have realized yet, but we'll make sure to tell Michal immediately as soon as we see him.
I think he already probably knows.
But maybe he does. And yeah, the 8 best European athletes are going to be there as well in Stuttgart. That's going to be absolutely fantastic. And for us, it is time to say goodbye. Time to celebrate with the Polish athletes. And we have the US Pro Championships coming up in just 15 minutes. So make sure to take a look at that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely stay tuned. Stay on the various channels where you're watching the US Pro Men's Championship coming up. And we want to throw it over to them so that they can enjoy themselves, have a ball, and we'll see who from the USA is going to be making it to Stuttgart for the World Championships in November.
But for now, it's time to say goodbye from Troy and Marcus with the highlights of the day, and hopefully see you again tomorrow at 1 p.m. Central European Time for the European Trophy.
Yep, see everybody, ciao.